Wow. Hello, everybody. It is time for the show. Yes, good morning, indeed. Hello, Kitty Tick. Hello, Gay Fesh. What's up, Fennec? We got Mick, Mama, the other way around, Andrea in the website chat. And hello as well to you hanging out in the YouTube chat. There's Dally Greaser, Arvin, Trevino, T4 Beasts fan. Texas wants forced detrans surgeries, I guess. Well, it's like gender marker changes. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to leave the title the way it is. I considered updating it, but no, we're not going to. It's about driver's licenses and birth certificates and all that crap. Kitty was the first like today. You're doing your part. Been listening to the Vince McMahon episodes of Behind the Bastards. That's fun. I, before stream, was listening to Alt-Shift-X videos about the book version of Jon Snow versus the TV show version of Jon Snow. How are you? I'm doing pretty well. You know, I am definitely still in that phase of my life where I'm having insane dreams, like, every night. I woke up at, like, 5 a.m. this morning from a weird dream, and it was one of those ones where I was like, I have to physically get up out of bed in order to kind of, like, reset my brain. And yeah. But then I had a lucid dream, not like a long one. So, okay, in the past, there have been times where I have realized that I am dreaming while I'm dreaming, but it's usually, like, just a moment. And then, like, I can kind of fix whatever's wrong with the dream, and then I just fall back into it and forget that I'm dreaming again. Last night's lasted a little bit longer, because I was like, oh, it was like a longer process of, like, realizing that I was dreaming. I was like, wait, I was like looking around and I was like, this apartment or wherever it is that I am is like, this is not my apartment, but it was in my dream, obviously. So I was like, oh, I'm recognizing the unfamiliarity of the things around me and that something upsetting was happening. And there was like a person in the space that I didn't want to be there. And I don't have a like, I can't like completely change the landscape of the dream yet. But I was like, okay, this person, I don't like them in here and I don't want them in here and I can make them go away. So what I did was like, I pushed him down through the floor, like just mentally, like I was just like, shoop, you're gonna go like, shoop, just like slide down into the floor. It was crazy. I made a TikTok about it. What a hell of a thing to finally break 100,000 views on a single video for. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm glad to hear that you had some success with that video. Hopefully you got some more followers as well. Talking about the Texas situation, I assume. Lucid dreaming is fun. I find that doing some kind of focused sleep/meditation exercises to fall asleep in the first place helps me do it more. Yeah, I would love to have more control over my dreams because they're just so stressful. Like, I have dreams about being cheated on, and I have dreams about, like, being chased, and, like, it would be great if I could not have those kind of dreams. Like, if I could notice that I'm dreaming while it's happening, and then just be like, I'm going to go do something else now. Do you ever have those dreams where you can hover, not like fly fast like Superman, but just kind of slowly move around while in the air? Not really. I have in the past had dreams where I am flying, like more in a normative flying kind of way ish. Um, but not for a while. It's not typical for me for sure. Mostly I have dreams where I can't run fast enough. I think I'm always me in my dreams, or like a version of me, or like how me would react in a different situation. Hell yes, mama. Yes. Did get some followers on TikTok, but more importantly, I got some momentum in my GoFundMe to get out of Texas, so that was nice. Yes. That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. My GoFundMe is at like almost $9,000. The goal is 10,000. And things are definitely slowing down. Like, I don't think I've gotten any donations on it for a couple days, but like that's completely understandable at this point. But yeah, I'm so excited that you're gaining some momentum and hopefully you can get the hell out of there soon. Gotta get some schmutz out of my teeth. Almost 1,500 now. Yes! That's awesome. Hell yeah. It is, it's unfortunate that this is like, it's weird. There's tension, right? Between being, like being forced to move out of the place where you are from. And like, yeah, when I was a kid, I did want to leave Kansas, but that was more because of its association with like my abusive family being from here. And so now it feels a lot more like I'm being forced to do something I don't want to do. So I'm sure a lot of us feel that kind of grief. And I actually just, like yesterday, I had a poem kind of happen to me about like my grief. It's weird because it's not really about the grief of moving, but it is an expression of that grief. And I'm like, okay, sometimes I'm going to do creative writing, a little bit of poetry, short stories, that kind of thing, and it's going up on the Patreon as an exclusive. And yeah, but I am starting to feel kind of excited. So I'm trying to see the good in it. That I feel like I have to move, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be all bad, you know? It's like, ooh, uh, you know, they have better healthcare protections in Oregon and going to be much closer to certain parts of our family up there. So it kind of starts to feel exciting after you're like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to gain some momentum on this. I actually get to go. I'm pretty sure the dreams where you can't run fast enough, like you're moving through molasses, and when you cry out, no sound is coming out. I'm pretty sure that's crossed wires where your dream body has the same muscle atonia as your physical body. Does that mean like the chemicals that like stop your body from moving while you're asleep? I always feel like I can't run fast enough, but there is a trick that almost always works. If I'm running on grass, if I get down on all fours and I grip the grass with my hands and like move myself forward with that along with my legs, I move faster, which is interesting. Yeah, for better or worse, Texas is my home. My family and friends are here. I know the roads, the food, the culture. I'm gonna miss those parts. Yeah, the familiarity. And like, yeah, there's a lot of things about it that are kind of a bummer. But I'm trying to like see some good in it and start to get excited and like, ooh, there's gonna be more opportunities for hunting up there. And like, ooh, what are the gun laws like up there? Just different stuff. As much as I love Oregon, I'll never stop missing Arizona. There is some real beauty and unique stuff there. Also, I can live off any portion of that state with a knife and piece of rope. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, took that burp a second to arrive. So, but yeah, in general, like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Uh, I'm starting to downsize. You know, it's like, oh, we're getting rid of this piece of furniture when we move, so we might as well get rid of it now, or like, let me sell this thing that I don't need anymore, kind of stuff. So, and also like, I, I semi reluctantly, but I am gonna start selling like things that I've just crocheted. I've sold those mushrooms that I had. I would like were on my desk for forever. I sold them, and I am making a pumpkin today. I think this is more for me. I think this pumpkin's gonna be more for me, but I'm making like a little pumpkin. It's a cutie pie. I'm excited to finish it. I already have a little white pumpkin that I made, so I'm making myself a little orange one. I can't afford to move, says Arvin. It would be great if there was a federal law that helped us move to blue states, but for the time being, I cannot. Sorry, for the time being, change is happening. Blexus will be a thing. I think it's going to be so fascinating to see what happens with this legislative, like the next voting thing that's going to happen. Like, yeah, you know, Kansas tends to almost always go red, but it would be interesting to see if we can pull it out and have it at least be like at a tipping point, or any other state. Yeah, like Texas has a couple of very large city areas that are like pretty fairly liberal, and I think it's been sort of a subject of conversation for a really long time that Texas could start to pull blue. So it would be really interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, Trump and Vance, they don't seem like they're doing too good. I I can't base my opinions on this off of my sphere online because I don't know very many Republicans and I don't follow Republicans. So it's like, are Republicans still talking about the assassination attempt? Because it feels to me like the entire machine has just moved past that completely. And like it's hardly even on anybody's radar. But I do think that Democrats are a lot more galvanized now with Harris and Walz, and that so I'm just saying, in the competition of those two things, like seeing Democrats be so galvanized and like all of this really high energy around the DNC versus like how fired up are the Republicans, I am not sure. Gwenifer, welcome. First time catching a stream? That's excellent. Don't forget to hit the like button, everybody. It's quick, it's easy, it's free, and it immediately helps the show. This is the part of the stream where we kind of just chill for a little bit. We kind of warm up a little bit. I think I do need to start actually doing vocal warm-ups before we start, though. Texas has been steadily closing the gap, but I don't see us getting Blexus this year, maybe 2028 or 2032, if we have a continued leftward trend. Well, because the other question as well is, like, this is our first election, like our first presidential election since COVID killed a bunch of people, right? And so a lot of the folks who died were older folks, and, you know, Republican voters who refused to get vaccinated are probably also going to be in the numbers of, like, folks who passed away. So, like, the population is different this time around. Kitty says, also, I never thought Arizona was going to vote blue. Growing up there, it was a foregone conclusion who was going to get Arizona votes. Did they go blue? There's 50 states and I cannot track them all every election. Did they go blue last time? Not gonna lie, I got more lucky than anyone I can think of when I moved to Oregon. I went from coming here to help be a business owner to suddenly homeless and COVID was shutting the world down. I literally met my now wife the same week I became homeless here. It is wild how life shifts and moves. Yeah. And I'm hoping that my move up there is not nearly so tumultuous, you know, because, like, it's a question as to whether my partner is going to have stable employment waiting for him, or if he's going to have to basically become a small business owner and find his own work as a contractor. Like, yeah. Hello, Mersh. Welcome in. Oh, so Arizona went to Biden last time, and it was a big surprise. Okay. Beyond Storm Chasing says there is 0 chance Arizona will go blue this election season. Yeah, I haven't really been looking at polls. I wonder if, like, what we have as far as polls are concerned. Presidential polls. Sure, yeah. The latest on the 2024 presidential race from CNN. Literally updated this morning. Oh, let's see. Okay, I don't think this has any of what I am looking for. Dude, I hope taxes get better after Kamala wins. That would be great. Okay, this one has, maybe not all of the different states, but a bunch of them. So... okay, this page displays the current 270 to win polling average for each state. Most of these are as of the last week here in August, so nationally, Harris is pulling ahead by 2 points. 48 to 46, or I guess closer to 3 points, 2.8%. Texas, Trump is leading by 5 points, 50% to 45. Arizona is, Harris is ahead by 1.4 points, 46 versus 45%. There's a lot of, like, independent or uncommitted voters in Arizona, like 9%. Wow. I wonder if, you know, Kansas is not even on here. Oregon has Harris pulling 5 points ahead. Walls has been pulling Republicans to vote Democrat, so it is a possibility. The problem is the gerrymandering and unchanged districts. Well, okay, so here's the thing. States presidential election doesn't have anything to do with gerrymandering. I was mistaken about this for a while as well, and it's a huge correction that I want to make. It's based off of the popular vote. So, like, in Kansas, we pulled out the popular vote to save abortion, for example, and if we pulled out those same numbers where, you know, it was like 70,000 votes or something that we voted to protect abortion, then our electors would go blue. Like, it's purely on the popular vote. So if there are enough Democratic voters or even Republican voters who decide to vote Democrat in Arizona, it's strictly by population. Yeah, I'm glad things turned out well for you, Kitty. Trump has pissed off the Mormons, and that is 3% of Arizona. They're one of the most important Arizona red blocs. What did he do to piss off the Mormons? Like, what did he do? What? What happened? Looks like Ohio. Trump is ahead 10 points in Ohio. That's crazy. I feel like a lot of the quote left is forgetting about trans people. Republicans are leaning as hard as possible into the transphobia out of desperation, and Democrats are just barely even mentioning our existence. People forget it's more than rhetoric. It's red states assaulting our rights. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like not sure what the correct choice is, because it's like if the Democrats treat the trans issue like it is a legitimate question, like if the Republicans keep saying, oh, groomer, 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 then like Democrats, are they legitimizing that by addressing it? And like who in this country really seriously cares about the trans issue, I guess is the question. Like, do Democrats have a very invested, like the average Democrat voter, are they very invested in the trans issue? Or is it just like, or do most Democrats feel like live and let live, these Republicans are being insane, if we just cancel the Republican ticket on the federal level? Like, I don't know. I get the frustration though, and I'm not trying to discount that or anything, because it is still frustrating to feel like, hey, maybe you could like say something about how our rights are at risk and how we're not doing well right now politically with trans people. Excuse me. Oh my God. What didn't he do to piss off the Mormons? Fair. The Mormons never liked Trump. Utah in 2016 went 21% for a third-party candidate. Wow. Gwennifer asks about Maine. Maine, Harris is 17 points ahead, so it looks like Maine is almost certainly going to go Democrat. Someone asked about Michigan. Is Michigan... Okay, so Michigan, right now, actually, Harris is only ahead by 1.4%. So, yeah, it's like 47 Harris, 46 Trump. Feels like every state should go blue given our current choices. Everyone says vote, but I wish that the Republican Party was actually a good foil to the Dems. Having two parties all fighting to see who could help all constituents the most would be amazing. Yeah, and also fix climate change. Right. Oh, everyone says vote blue, but yeah, it just feels silly sometimes. Seeing what Labour is doing in the UK, I'm very nervous about being a sacrificial lamb. Democrats are already right-wing on immigration and Gaza. Yeah, that... I completely get that. Yeah, because they just voted in like what is supposed to be a sort of progressive government in the UK, but they're like, yeah, we're going to continue this policy of like causing trans youth to commit suicide by denying them access to any medical care. And also we're going to like start a family investigation, CPS style, if you get them care through the private clinic where it is totally legal to do so. Let's see. Is Virginia on this list? So Virginia right now, Harris is ahead 3 points, 47 to 44. And these polls are pretty much all from within the last month. The Ohio one is from August 1st. Oregon's is from July 30. But yeah. We've moved away from working politics and into identity politics. Yeah, I do find that pretty frustrating. That I think it's like the right-wing culture war, really. The right-wingers trying to be like, hey, yo, let's see if we can just create... It's always a different thing. Like, every election, it's either illegal immigrants, or it's the gays, or it's the transes. You know, they always come up with some social thing, abortion, or whatever. They come up with some social thing to campaign on. And I'm like, I want to hear... I mean, first of all, yes, I want to hear that they're going to protect trans rights. And like, those issues are important. But more Americans are affected by things like tax breaks and like good roads and good schools. Welcome, folks who are just coming in. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. Don't forget to hit the like button. Get even more people in here. This is the chill part of the show. We're going to keep hanging out for maybe another 30 minutes. And then we've got some like proper segments. Of course, we're talking about the news and the polls and everything here. Oh, by the way, if anybody has like a straight up good segment recommendation for today, like a positive news, because people have been complaining in the YouTube comments lately about how like my content is fairly doomer. And I'm like, yeah, well, first of all, everything fucking sucks. So like, don't like, why are you coming at me about that? It's not my fault there's no good news. But yes, and also there is an incentive to cover bad news because those are the things that get clicks. And yeah, but like, I think, you know, at least every once in a while we need to post a positive video. Although like, it is kind of funny that I had that person complaining about that. And it's like, I did just post a video about how based Tim Walz is. And I guess maybe that was like 2 weeks ago, but... And like, yeah, Biden calls out Trump and white supremacists. That was supposed to be a positive video. Whatever. Neurotic Canary, hello. Mackenzie, welcome in. Mama says, when I talk about Democrats being bad allies, liberals bring up stuff like Biden's Title IX changes that have immediately been struck down by the Supreme Court. And frankly, I'm done with giving Dems credit for doing anything until it actually happens and stays. They leave open these lines of attack for the Supreme Court and Republicans to block changes purposefully so they can campaign on the issue but never actually get anything done about it. Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. Although I guess the Supreme Court didn't like strike it down, but they were like, we are not going to like enforce Biden's version of this. I guess it's going to still work up through the courts and then they will officially take a case if it works its way up to them, and then they'll make an official decision. But they're basically just like, we're not going to accept the executive. This is it. I mean, basically like the courts are basically saying like, fuck you, executive branch. We don't have to do anything you say, which is like not a good place for us to be in as a country. Although one of the things that we're going to talk about when we get into the Texas segment today is that the opposite is happening in Texas, where the executive branch is just saying, hey, fuck you, courts. We don't care what you say. We're ignoring your shit. Like, it's super weird. I hate being called doomer for pointing out how bad things are. We've been pushed out of a plane, and I don't want to hear that looking for a parachute is doomer. Yeah, basically. Like, yeah, things are negative. Like, okay, yeah, like people are dying and being disabled from COVID. I have lost my right to go to the fucking public bathroom in the state where I live. My name is on a list on the Attorney General's desk, Chris Kobach. Same thing for anybody in Texas who's ever changed their gender before. Like, things are bad right now. I feel like so much pressure to go back to self-defense class and like get a gun and like move somewhere 2,000 miles away from where I was born to hopefully have some rights. Like, it's so frustrating for people to like, you know, for me to be the bearer of bad news and be, you know, treated like I'm the source of the bad news somehow, or like that I'm just being such a bummer. It's like, well, it's not my fault that you want to just tune out and fucking watch cartoons or whatever. Republican ad rolls came in. I just fixed the sound. I literally just fixed the sound. Like, I don't know. Like, again. So, okay, hold on. Do I have to fix the drivers every 2 weeks? Hey, yeah, the sound is down again this time. God damn it. That's so fucking annoying. Like, I just fixed the drivers for my microphone, and now it's all quiet again. Because when I fix the microphone, like when I fix the drivers, I'm like, if I have my volume set all the way up, I'm spiking into the red constantly. And now it's fucking low again. And it just doesn't give me any indication that it's just decided that the drivers won't work. God damn it. God damn it. Really, really pisses me off. My Go XLR is my most finicky and shitty piece of equipment that I have. It's so fucking annoying. You could do a segment about the guy who started the ocean cleanup project and the project itself. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know that I've heard about that, so I'd have to look it up. They talk about Supreme Court reform, but not by packing the courts, which they can do anytime, but by an amendment, which will never ever pass, and I seriously doubt they don't know that. Well, I mean, the thing, too, is that apparently Republicans just are empowered to obstruct, like, any appointment to the Supreme Court that the Dems try to make. Like, didn't they block Obama for 2 fucking years? 2 years. If I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, if we're getting close to the end of a term, Mitch McConnell is going to be like, yeah, well, we're not going to add any people to the Supreme Court because, oh, well, you don't get to decide this right before an election. Like, actually, I'm the president, and yes, I fucking can. I've been following this saga since he was a teenager that designed a plastic collecting machine to help remove plastic from the ocean. It's been a long and beautiful journey. Nice. What's his name? I can Google it. They blocked Obama from appointing someone for 2 years, but Dems couldn't block Trump for 5 months. They go low, we go high. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, yeah, like they forced through 3 people under Trump. 3. He got 3 in his 1 term. The Republicans ditched the filibuster for SCOTUS appointees in order to get Trump's judge approved. That's why they couldn't block Ketanji Brown Johnson. Okay. Brown Johnson. God, I can't fucking talk. Boyan Slot. I'll consider doing a segment about this dude. Ooh, I guess we do have good news about the, there was another billionaire who just died. His yacht, like, sank, and he died. If there's a hell, I hope RBG is burning in there. Her ego cost us Roe v. Wade. Yeah, it was pretty fucking annoying. Like, dude, you have like ovarian cancer. Go home and rest. And she like broke her hip or something at one point toward the end there too. This ocean cleanup thing is one of the things that's kept me going for the last 11 years because it showed me how much one person can do, even someone with very little resources to begin with. Yeah, that's really cool. If Dems had any backbone, Trump would have had only one seat to fill. The regular timeline of appointing a Supreme Court would have put the first seat into Obama's time and the second into Biden's. Right, yeah. I guess that, you know, maybe a positive segment we should do today is like a DNC. What's like one, I don't know, like, does Kamala have like a speech from the DNC that we could maybe look at? Because I have a question about like what policies has she claimed? Like, what promises has she started to make? Because like, excuse me, oh my god, I keep hiccuping. She's the nominee now, officially, which means that we should be seeing a Democratic Party platform soon, right? Like, has she said anything about expanding access to healthcare? Or I know that they said something about expanding the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit, but like, have they said anything about, yeah, like raising the minimum wage or anything that we should actually applaud? Her speech was unfortunately far to the right. God damn it. That's what I'm saying here. And they had like 8 Republicans speak at the DNC, but they didn't let like the Palestinian American representative speak. No worries, Fennec. We'll help you stab the laundry monster. I think politicians should be forcibly retired at retirement age. I don't disagree with you on that. And I think that people's reflexive response to that is going to be like, well, that's ageist. Like, okay, but it's not ageist. The fact that you have to be an adult for 17 years before you can run for president. Like, what's wrong with being 30 years old and running for president? I think Wallace had the best speech. Exactly, Phantom Angel of Music. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah, it's like we don't even have a platform, and that's because everybody knows what it is. Not Trump. Like, it just doesn't matter what she promises to do or not to do because she's not Trump. Kamala's speech from the DNC was frankly right-wing anti-immigrant garbage. She talked about, quote, working tirelessly for a ceasefire while refusing to allow a Palestinian speaker on stage for a 2-minute speech. She wants to further go after price gouging and deregulate housing to bring costs down. $25K down payment help for first-time homebuyers is the most real promise I can think of. Listen, honestly, that could really fucking benefit me if it happens. Because like the whole idea that I have right now is like I want to move and get an apartment or something like that and then start like looking for a house with hopefully a little bit of land so that I can like start preparing for the inevitable food and water shortages that we're going to experience in the next 20-ish years. I think it's ageist that our Senate is a fucking nursing home. People with no stake in the future determining what happens to the rest of us is ageist. I mean, sure. The text of the speech was made public. Oh, the speech that the Palestinian was going to make? The Palestinian American representative. Absolutely nothing about it was objectionable unless you take the position that it is good for tens of thousands of civilians to die. Right. Yeah. It's like the only thing we can do is hold off the most insane promise of fascism that we've seen in our lifetimes. Like, that's the only thing we can do? Thank you, the non-aesthetic witch. That video didn't do very well. My video recently about the Air Force leaking a bunch of water, or like leaking a bunch of shit into the water in Arizona. Like, genuinely, it only got like 600 views. And normally my videos are getting like 2,000 to 3,000 views. But yeah. Yeah, like 25K down payment help for first-time home buyers would be great. Like, I wonder what that would be like, though. Is that just like a tax credit? I'm assuming it has to come in the form of a tax credit. Kamala wants Israel to be allowed to defend itself, but also says Gaza got out of hand. Girl. Kamala's speech was fairly disappointing for real left-leaning people. She is a touch better than Biden, possibly, but will probably disappoint like Obama did. Right. As people who are really on the left here, we don't have any actual representation in our government. I saw people were even disappointed in AOC's thing, like her speech at the DNC, because it started out with her being like, she seemed I'm not going to say radical, but she seemed like far to the left, but she has gradually drifted closer to the center and is more like other Democrats now that she's been in that position for a couple of years. Yeah, voting for Obama in 2008 and being like, yeah, he can actually change things. And then he did fucking drone strikes all over Afghanistan and Iraq. We're going to hold off fascism. Kamala will win. She won't really change things enough to make a difference because we are on a dramatic, like, we're about to enter like an exponential down curve toward like food shortages, water shortages, economic collapse, an increase in refugees. So like, even if Kamala, I'm assuming that Kamala is going to win at this point. Like, I'm assuming that the Harris-Walz ticket is going to win. I don't think that they're going to push hard enough to protect the environment and therefore protect the economy doing all this. She did the party line, quote, working tirelessly for a ceasefire. Biden has been saying it for 10 months and it means jack shit while they continue to send bombs. Anyone who doesn't call for an arms embargo is a ghoul. Right. Yeah. It's crazy, too, how there's all this condemnation of Hamas where it's like, they're all like, Israel has a right to defend itself. It's like, Palestine has a right to defend itself. It's an apartheid state. They don't have the right to defend themselves. They don't have the right to retaliate when bad shit happens to them for like 70 years. I hope that Jesus gets here before the collapse. It's weird to listen to how the world sucks while also having to do mundane things like fold socks. Yes, I mean, this is the tension, is like, I have an awareness in the back of my mind that children are dying in Gaza and I am cooking dinner, and I am editing my videos, and I am crocheting while I listen to videos about A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, yeah. There is genuinely nothing we can do about a lot of these problems, which is why, like, I've checked out completely from, I'm intellectually aware that bad things are happening in Gaza, but I'm not thinking about it at all. I'm not bearing witness to any of the videos or pictures that come across my timeline. I'm ignoring that because I can't do anything. None of us can do anything. In fact, trying to push back against the Palestinian genocide is like pushing governments in this, like various state governments and local governments, to make a very, very ill-advised anti-health. I was gonna say like anti-disabled, but no, it's just an anti-health decision to ban masks in public. You know? To these people, October 7th was the beginning of history. Yeah, it's like there's never been anything wrong there until October 7th. Everything was totally fine until October 7th, apparently. Green tea with honey. Yummy, yummy. Tea is good for you, apparently. I've mostly been drinking it because it can, apparently it can help you not absorb mercury into your muscles, and I've been eating more tuna lately, so. It's like a balancing act. These are the things that I'm actually thinking about with my real human brain time, since I can't deal with fucking, like a lot of these more serious news topics I've sort of checked out from. I'm like, yeah, my cholesterol was a little bit high, so I'm like eating oats more, and like, oh, the American Heart Association says that you should eat fatty fish twice a week. But I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to get more mercury in my body, or microplastics really, but there's kind of nothing you can do about the microplastics. They're just everywhere anyway. But yeah, I'm like, so every time I eat tuna or salmon or whatever, I make sure I have a cup of green tea to prevent my muscles from absorbing the mercury as much. Yay. Eat small fish for less mercury. Yeah, but like, what is like anchovies? But like it's supposed to be like fatty fish. So like, yes, I did eat pollock last week, and I considered that one of my 2 fish times for the week, but like it doesn't have the omega-3s in it, which is what you need. And like, so like you could do like anchovies or sardines, I think, but those are like more difficult to cook with. And you know, I can just buy packets of tuna. Anyway, I'm so fucking tired of the whole Israel thing too. Y'all like to discuss it in the Discord server, and I've started to create some limits around that. Like the dialogue channel in our Discord server is where you all are like allowed to argue with each other a little bit. And yeah, it's actually really frustrating to me how often Israel Gaza comes up, because it's like it should be fucking obvious. Like we should all be on the same page. What Israel is doing is bad, and you should be able to criticize the Israeli government without people being like, that sounded really anti-Semitic. Like, that's the entire fucking problem, is that any criticism of Israel is portrayed as anti-Semitism, and they're hiding behind the shroud of like, oh, well, we were genocided once, therefore we can do anything we want. And you can't criticize Israel without criticizing Jews and making the world unsafe for all Jewish people. Like, girl, come on. Annoying. Anyway. My eyeballs are itchy. Okay. Let's take a look at our topics for today, because I've got some links open and ready. Obviously, we've got the title issue. Oh, titles are down here. excuse me, title issue about Texas, so I need to, excuse me, pull something up about that. Did we get something in the Discord about Texas? Yes. Okay. We've got Texas. We've also got, let's see what else I have open here. I also have, yeah, the Boyan slat thing we could talk about. Let me close this. I don't need that. Oh yeah, there's like something where, okay, yeah, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies has unanimously adopted the position that Kamala Harris is ineligible to be president based on the Dred Scott decision, which is fucking horrendous and hilarious at the same time. Have you heard of the channel Anarch? They do great content on anarchism and how to prepare for an anarchist revolution, and maybe we should take something from it. No, I haven't looked into that. Let me post up, I'll just pull up a link for myself to check that out later. I love the channel name, Anarch. They're a small channel, too. Ooh, this feels like somebody that I should collab with. Because our channels are, like, almost the same size. Let's see, okay, I don't need this open right now. There's also the story about the US judge striking down Biden admin ban on worker non-compete agreements, which is like more of a labor thing, but I do think it is worth talking about in the context of the judicial branch just basically like stripping the executive of its power to regulate big business, you know? So I do have that open. And then also there's this bit, honestly, this is just a little... I don't even know what this is from. Oh, these are opinion letters that were sent in to Newsday.com. One of them is about, or two of them are about mask bans. Ugh. So we have like a pretty nice variety of things we could talk about today. I'm not even sure if we're gonna do a lighthearted segment. I did think about it. Ooh, I will say a little bit of positive news right now. Not a segment, but the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna have been approved. So if you have not gotten a booster in the last 2 months, you can get one. I think CVS is starting to take appointments for this upcoming week. Walgreens Pharmacy is not going to start taking appointments until September 6th. And I'm not sure how it works with the Bridge Access Program. Like, is it going to apply now to the new vaccines? I don't know. But you could try to go to a CVS pharmacy, get your COVID vaccine this week, and try to use the Bridge Access Program and get it for free. Or if you get it next month, if you are uninsured, you'll probably have to pay for it. Already got my vaccine scheduled along with a flu shot. Yep. I just got a booster like 2 or 3 weeks ago of the previous year. So it's like, it's not as effective against the current strains, but I wanted to be fully protected because the Renaissance Festival is starting soon, and I'm not going to wear a mask because it's too hot. I physically can't deal with the heat, being outside for 10 hours in 95-degree heat. I have like a nasal spray I'm going to use and a mouthwash that I'm going to use and a probiotic that I'm going to use. Like I'm doing everything I can. And I also just got my booster. So like this is how I'm going to stay safe. And get to enjoy doing something that I'm never going to get to go to every weekend of the Renaissance Festival again. Like my home Ren Fair, you know? I love the idea of anarchy, but it is impossible for it to be achieved in nature because a set of ruling concepts is going to emerge eventually. So the thing about anarchism that I think that folks kind of don't get is that anarchism is not against any ruling set or any hierarchy. It's against unjustified or unnecessary hierarchy. So like, if you can justify having like a council who are in charge of your neighborhood or the 1,000 or so people who live in your area, you can probably justify that. And like, this is also why I, as an anarchist, I am not a vegan, because the hierarchy of animals consuming other animals is very easily justified. Is there a list for those things? So, xylitol nasal spray. You can get the xylitol nasal spray. That's the brand name, Xlear, the one that I've been getting at Walmart. And then mouthwash active ingredient CPC 0.7%. And then probiotic strep salivarius K12, which you can get on Amazon. And that's like, if you need to do something, if you're doing something high risk, like going into a like large crowd of people without a mask on or something, like these are just some things that you can do. Still mostly recommend wearing a well-fitting mask, but whatever. Zahir makes some good points. I disagree. I love Zahir. He's like my favorite villain in Korra for sure, in The Legend of Korra, but he's like a child's imagining of what anarchism looks like, you know? Because, like, he's just like, we need to not have a government and we need to not have hierarchy at all. And it's like, that's not what anarchism is as a political philosophy. Anarchism is that the state is unjustified, but that hierarchy could still be justified or necessary. I won't fight you on that because it's been a couple years since I watched it. Like, I still like him. He's still my favorite bad guy. From Korra. But yeah, it's not like a great representation of anarchism, for sure. And I will say, too, that even an ill-fitting N95 is better than not wearing a mask. And an ill-fitting N95 is better than a surgical mask. So, you know. Just do everything you can. Everything you can. 69 viewers currently. Can we get to 69 likes today? That would be pretty fucking nice. What about people who need government support to survive? Well, I mean, part of the point of like a broader anarchist philosophy is that communities take care of people, and that you can't justify the hierarchy of one person owning all of this housing or one person owning all of these factories and paying people very little money. So like, anarchism necessarily, to my view, although I know that there is such a thing as anarcho-capitalists who believe that capitalism is possible in an anarchist framework, which I don't agree with. But yeah, the idea is that like, we scale things back to smaller scale, and we kind of destroy some of the things about capitalism that make people require government support to survive, right? Because like, if we provide things in our community and we give things freely in the community, we don't charge money for things, and we don't require people to work in order uh, to earn food or housing or whatever, you know, like, you know, what need is there for a government support? Like, I understand what you're asking is like, there needs to be some kind of social support system, and I don't disagree with that. I just think that the state can't justify its existence currently. Yeah, no anarcho-capitalism. But the thing is that, you know, conservatism doesn't actually believe in no central government. Like, this is the thing. Conservatism actually believes in a heavy degree of government control. They say, this is like why we can't say communism is bad because Joseph Stalin was a communist or whatever. Like, no, that was a dictatorship that called itself a communist government. It's not this, like, you know, you have to actually look at the material impacts of the ideology and that framework of government, as opposed to like taking their word for it. Conservatives say we want small government, but what they actually want is to allow big business to do whatever they want and heavily restrict individuals. I want to get a sandwich, but I'm afraid to leave my room and make my parents aware I'm awake. Like, yeah, don't talk to me. Understand. It's a matter of framing, and American conservatists are liars. Yeah. Now, I will say that anarchism is libertarian. Like, the term libertarian socialist, that's how you say you're an anarchist without scaring people. Like, when Vosh calls himself a libertarian socialist, like, that is kind of the fancy way of saying anarchist without using the scary term anarchist. It's like, yeah, libertarian, because libertarian is as opposed to authoritarianism. Like, if you're looking at it as a spectrum, libertarianism is the leaning toward allowing people to determine and, you know, have the freedom of movement and all that kind of stuff. And then the authoritarian line of that is, of course, like, we want to control movement. We want to, you know, control people by restricting access to money and food and housing and stuff. Like, so yes, anarchism is inherently a libertarian view because it leans toward more freedom and less government control and restriction. I just wish most conservatives even understood what they were voting for. Small town conservatives, like where I came from, are super get rid of all the government and then leave us alone, please. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah. It's funny how, like, anarchists and small town conservatives might actually be like friends in this sense of like, yeah, we don't want big government control over our individual lives. We want, if we have a government, we should have regulation on like dumping poison into the environment and stuff like that. But I'm so sick of people who hear words like socialism or anarchism and immediately shut down their brains. Like, I get it, we're heavily propagandized, but how hard is it to think for 5 seconds? Yeah. There's been a couple times where I've been talking to someone about anarchism, or I'm like, and this is why I'm an anarchist. And they're like, they view it as that whole dictionary definition of like, there's no order, everything's chaos. And they start like, they pull up Wikipedia and start arguing with me from Wikipedia. Like, I typically use the phrase unjustified hierarchy when I'm referring to anarchism, but on the Wikipedia page, it says unnecessary hierarchy. And I'm like, I'm waiting for the next opportunity to be like, do you think maybe that the terms unjustified and unnecessary are like interchangeable here and that the Wikipedia fucking agrees with what I just said? Anyway, it's just funny when people try to argue from like the propagandized dictionary definition of what anarchism is. They hear anarchy and think of the movie The Purge. Yeah, which is hilarious because that is like a pretty authoritarian government, and a pretty heavy capitalist presence. You could go edit Wikipedia, true. Just finished watching the hour-long video about the Leaked Heritage Foundation training. Yeah, how are your brain cells? How's your IQ doing? I lived next to this sprawling, unincorporated township with around 11,000 people living on roads they put down, lines of property they drew. Even some of the utilities were run by local individuals. Cops literally can't and won't go to several places there. Hilarious. Yeah, it's pretty hypocritical with the Project 2025 stuff because yeah, they are using this rhetoric saying like the left is trying to control culture by redefining words, and then they do exactly that with anything that's remotely progressive. They're like, we're going to redefine the words to control the culture actually. So it's not actually a bad thing. This is exactly the fucking J.K. Rowling thing. It's not like actions aren't good or bad. People are good or bad in this framework. So like Republicans can try to control culture by redefining words, 1984 style. But and it's good when they do it, and it's bad when Democrats do it. It's so frustrating. Like, there are no moral actions. There's only, like, people who are allowed to do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of the moral value, I guess. Anyway. Tea is so good. I'm like all on decaf. I have my morning, I've switched to cold brew for the most part with my coffee, which is wonderful. I'm like, I don't really need to put hot liquid in my body early in the morning because of my POTS symptoms are worse in the morning. But yeah, I've like started to do like, yeah, the ice and the cold brewed coffee. It's yummy. Oh my god. I keep like picking at my lips. I need to just put on more lip stuff. I prefer a hot cup of E. Fair. I may have asked this before. This is a random one. I'm gonna do at least one more random topic before we pick something serious to talk about. Has anybody in the chat gotten their nips pierced? I'm curious. I hear pretty wildly different stories about how well they heal and stuff. I'm curious. It's like a lot less expensive than I thought it would be too. I've kind of looked around to be like, how much does this cost? Less than you would think. And now we find out how far behind the chat is. We've got 2 yeses. Okay. How do they heal? Do they heal well? Do they ever truly heal? Some people are like, they basically always are, they're still like crusting and being weird. My partner did 8 months ago and they're healed pretty well. Cool. Good to know. No, but I got a VCH. Is that vertical clitoral hood? That it's like a skin flap. That heals super easily. My right one migrated because my doctor fucked up my top surgery, but the left one is alright. Okay, cool. They need to clean them still pretty regularly at 8 months. Okay. Fun. Anyway, just things that I'm mulling over. I got them several years ago and they healed well, but I'm, quote, good at healing. IDK, I've not had any issues with any of my piercings. Cool, good to know. Yeah, I'm mostly worried about it, like, yeah, like, literally never healing. The last piercings that I got were these, like, my second earlobe piercings, and they healed a little weird. I have numbing cream from when I got my tattoo. I'm gonna consult with the piercer and ask, like, hey, do you let people use numbing cream? Because, like, I think that would be a necessary component for me. Like, numbing cream. One of my friends got their nips pierced, and they said that they wish that they had someone drive them home. So I'm like, okay, I have to drag my partner with me. Miss my tongue piercing. I don't want to get a tongue piercing because it can fuck up your teeth so bad. And, like, I already have metal in my mouth. Like, it's already something that I should be probably more careful with. Mm. Delicious. Okay, well, let's see. What do we have? By the way, donations, as usual. If we get to $100 in donations today, I will take off my hoodie and flex. I always thought a split tongue would be cool. It is cool, but also apparently it's, like, one of the most difficult things to heal from. Like, you have to eat while you're dealing with that, and you have to make sure your mouth stays super clean, and apparently it fucking hurts a lot. Like, I also think that a split tongue would be cool, but it just doesn't seem worth it. Excuse me, I went to a piercer in Portland who had a lot of experience and didn't even use a clamp, and I think I drove myself home. Yeah. There are a couple of really highly rated piercers in the Kansas City area that I'm thinking about consulting with. 73 viewers. We're so close to 69 likes. That would be so nice. And yeah, any donations to the GoFundMe will also count toward the stream goal for today. Nip piercings sound fun, but although I'm more of a tattoo girly than a piercing girly. Yeah, I have both. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 tattoos. I'm getting one of them touched up next week. And I thought that I was kind of done with piercings. I don't really want any cartilage piercings, I don't think, because those take forever to heal. I definitely don't want any nose piercings. I thought about getting one of my eyebrows done, but apparently those are often not permanent. I have my belly button pierced. Got that when I was 18. But yeah. All these things cost money. And I do have more tattoo ideas, but I'm definitely, like, probably gonna not get a new tattoo for a while. Because since I just got one this year, I'll probably wait to get another one. Oh gosh, what should we do first? Skin piercings are not permanent, but you can always redo them. Eyebrows are cheap. Yeah. You know, the sushi, this is the driver's license change that we're going to be discussing here in a bit. I'm getting a Morrowind themed sleeve and a Pokemon themed sleeve. That's fun. Oh, we're so close to 69. It shows me 68. I've had my eyebrow for 8 years. Nice. But yeah, I'm pretty much, like, I think I'm okay with facial piercings. I think I'm pretty much done, but we'll see. All right. I mean, we could talk about this Dred Scott thing first. That would be pretty funny. Okay, let me pull up the Discord. I really appreciate when you all post links in the Discord. It makes my job easier. Like, helps me get my links together, and it helps me know, like, what you guys actually want to talk about. Okay. Ooh, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this Dred Scott thing first. That's fun. Transgender thought control, referring to Lux's thumbnail. My thumbnail is so cute. It's like that because, I mean, honestly, like, EB the Purple, who made all the emojis and stuff, she just kind of, like, worked that up. And I was like, yeah, I don't necessarily love the snake thing, because I'm a dragon and not a snake, but for the time being, like, you know, it's cool. Birtherism revamped. Yes, I think that is a great term to describe this thing that we're about to talk about, which is that, so of course, the Republicans don't like Kamala. You know, they don't want her to be in office. She's a black woman. She's also South Asian, I think, and I mean, she's a woman, which is a big part of it too, but like what they see when they look at her is a black woman, you know? Similar with like Obama is half white, but people are like, oh, he's the first black president because, like, I guess that's the rules. If you have even slightly dark skin, it's like the one drop rule, whatever. Like, you are racially considered black. Anyway, so the Republicans are trying to come up with reasons to say that Kamala is not eligible to be president. Okay. So this is a memorandum. I'm going to go ahead and say it's a resolution. It's a memo from the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, the NFRA. They have apparently unanimously adopted the position that Kamala Harris is ineligible to be president based on several things. And we're going to focus in on one of them. So, whereas, oh my God, it was bigger before. The constitutional qualifications for presidential eligibility as written in Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 5 states, no person except a natural-born citizen shall be eligible, or a citizen of the United States at the time of adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Whereas an originalist and strict constructionist understanding of the Constitution in the Scalia and Thomas tradition, as well as precedent-setting U.S. Supreme Court cases cited below, have found that a, quote, natural-born citizen is defined as a person born on American soil of parents who are both citizens of the United States at the time of the child's birth. So I think that this is actually not how we do things now. I think the way that we do things now is like your parents don't have to be citizens of the United States. If you come here, if your parents come here and you are born here, you are automatically granted citizenship. But this is what they're trying to push back on. So they do cite the Dred Scott v. Sanford case, which we will get into in a minute. If you don't know what that is, which I was not intimately familiar with what that is, we're going to get into it in a minute. So they say several states, candidates, and major political parties have ignored this fundamental presidential qualification, including candidates Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Kamala Harris, whose parents were not citizens at the time of their birth. So parents were not citizens at the time of their birth is kind of that's the thing that they're really going with here. But they cited the Dred Scott decision, which is the one that we're going to highlight here. The Dred Scott decision was, I'm on the Britannica website. So it was a legal case where the Supreme Court ruled that a slave who had resided in a free state and territory where slavery was prohibited was not thereby, entitled to his freedom, that African Americans were not and never could be citizens of the United States, and that the Missouri Compromise, which had declared free all territories west of Missouri and north of latitude 3630, was unconstitutional. So basically, they're citing a court case. So this is like, by legal scholars, this is considered to be like the worst Supreme Court case ever. Like, this is the worst Supreme Court decision ever, according to scholars. Because yeah, part of this is that African Americans could never be citizens of the United States effectively. And like, you know, if you go into the background of this, a little bit more details, yeah, like look at it. It's been cited in particular as the most egregious example in the court's history of wrongly imposing a judicial solution on a political problem. Famously, this has been characterized as the court's greatest, quote, self-inflicted wound. So if you go into it, like, it's about a slave who was owned by someone in Missouri named Dred Scott. The enslaved man was called Dred Scott, and his the person who claimed to own him took him to some other states like Illinois and the Wisconsin Territory, and they were like, basically he was like, the Dred Scott ended up suing later to be like, because I have been in a free state where slavery is illegal, like I can't be a slave anymore, basically. And so that's what this has worked up to, like that's why this worked up to the Supreme Court, because things went back and forth with the Missouri Supreme Court. And actually the Missouri Supreme Court in this case undid one of its long-standing precedents called once free, always free. So the Missouri had this long-standing doctrine of like, once you've been freed, you can't be enslaved again, which is, so a lower state court declared that Scott is a free man based on his like having traveled to states where slavery was illegal. Because yeah, it's so weird. This, like, the fact that you could own slaves in Missouri and then go to Illinois with your enslaved person and to a place where slavery is illegal and have that not be like, your slave should be freed at that point. Like, it makes the most sense that it's like, no, this is illegal here. So you can't like keep me as a possession in this state where it's illegal. Anyway, yeah. So I just thought that this was really funny. And like, obviously it's very serious, but it's very funny that they're basically like, this Republican organization is saying like, because of this court case, which is considered the worst in all of American history as far as the Supreme Court goes, which declared that no person of African descent, like no African Americans, no black people, can ever be citizens of the United States. That's what the federal ruling was at that time. Like, the law of the land across this entire nation officially was that black people cannot be citizens of the United States. So like, not only are they saying that there is a very strict interpretation of the law that you could say is like, a natural born citizen is defined as a person who's born on American soil and both of their parents are citizens of the United States, because Kamala's parents were not both American citizens when she was born here. But it's like, not only that, but also because she's black, she can't be a citizen. Are they aiming to reinstate slavery? I wouldn't put it past Republicans too. Okay, here's the deal. Slavery is legal as punishment for a crime. Slavery has never been fully gotten rid of. We have slavery. That's why black people are disproportionately imprisoned for committing the same crimes as white people, because, and that's like the whole concept behind the school to prison pipeline, which you may have heard that phrase before. The whole idea there, the whole concept is slavery, chattel slavery is not legal. But if you convict someone of committing a crime, slavery is on the table. So when we're looking at like who is being imprisoned at what rates, slavery is legal, and it still disproportionately impacts black people and other people of color. Like anybody who's brown, really. Yeah, Trump can't wait to deport all the quote illegals. That's one of the things that we covered in the Project 2025 video is like they're trying to control language by calling these people undocumented instead of illegals. Like, I mean, mostly the reason that Democrats have made that change is because calling them illegals is like dehumanizing, and it renders them like their existence is illegal, as opposed to they just haven't gotten their papers in order yet, which most of them, like, again, most people who are here illegally, quote unquote, excuse me, is because they had paperwork and they didn't renew it, or like something happened in the process of them renewing it that got it, like, canceled it. So it's usually people who flew here, not people crossing the border, like crossing the border in the night, whatever. It's mostly people who flew here and who had work papers, like a green card, and it just expired. So yeah, I don't know. It's like anything they can do to obscure things, anything they can do to say, you know, people of color or black folks or whoever, like, oh, you know, we don't want these folks to be in our government. Because, yeah, someone else in chat said, like, yeah, okay, so Kamala is ineligible, but Trump is eligible. Like, a convicted felon versus a woman whose parents weren't born here, which obviously that is going to impact that's going to impact people of color more than it's going to impact white people for the most part. Jealous of my melanin, so they want to keep me down. True. Oh, that's fire. Young Black Economist in the chat says, my ancestor trolled and created fake documents that say he was born in a free state and got away with it. He was smart. I'm glad he broke the law. Yeah, absolutely. That's like literally like be gay, do crimes, but minus the be gay part. You know what I mean? Like, if your existence is criminalized, then you don't really have any choice but to like lean into it a bit. And like, yeah, sometimes breaking the law is the just thing to do. If a law is unjust, then sometimes the just thing to do is break the law. Slavery was unjust. So any slaves, like literally slaves who ran away under the Underground Railroad, I literally almost said Yellow Brick Road and I had to really stop myself. Slaves who ran away, they were breaking the law. They were stealing from their alleged owners, basically. And that's the right and just thing to do. Like, honestly, I don't even know that being violent toward the alleged slave owners would have been something that I could morally condemn. I feel like in this political climate, that is the kind of situation that we're in, though, where people would be like, well, I know that you were a slave, and I know that your mom was being sexually assaulted, and that you were being whipped every day and forced to do labor and given shitty food and not allowed to leave the plantation. But really, I think it's a problem that you killed the person who said that they owned you. Like, actually, they go low, we go high, okay? Like, honestly, I do kind of think that if we were still dealing with this level of, like, chattel slavery in today's day and age, that there would be moral condemnation on enslaved people for violently retaliating against the people who said that they were like, we own you. And we're doing all these messed up things. I don't think people get sometimes how very, very, very uncool it was. It wasn't just being enslaved that was the problem. It wasn't just being forced to do labor that was the problem. It was also like the violence that was being done against them, the stealing of the children and the sexual assault, like all of these things. It was particularly horrendous. Like, I know things that, like, I don't even want to educate, like, the teenagers in my life who aren't learning this stuff in school. I don't even want to tell them some of the things I know about how white people treated black people and, like, just did whatever they wanted to their bodies, you know, it's like shit that like teenagers shouldn't have to know, I feel, but also that it's important to know so that they don't take it lightly. That slavery was horrific. Horrific. But yes, of course, being enslaved on its own is an act of violence, even if you're not being like assaulted or whatever. So, yeah, someone claiming to own you and control you is fundamentally violent. Oh God. In a TikTok debate today, someone tried telling the host and I that there were, quote, good slave owners. Yeah, I hope that you did go in on them because that's insane. But yeah, so this Supreme Court case, Dred Scott versus Sanford, which very, very, very morally wrongly declared that Black people can't be citizens of the United States and that, like, being in a free state doesn't free you if you're an enslaved person. Like, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, the myth that Washington had wooden teeth, they were actually slave teeth from human beings. Yeah. The narrative, you got to keep the narrative up. Oh yeah, Martin Luther King quote, "I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to, quote, order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice." MLK warned us. He warned us, and yet we are still here. And yet here we still are. Yeah. Like, how many Democrats are even going to pay attention to the fact that the Republicans are trying to say that Kamala is not a citizen of the United States? Like, she's not a natural born citizen. Anyway, I just thought that was ridiculous. I wanted to cover it because it's just, I mean, ultimately, I feel like it's kind of silly. It's a very serious threat to the, like, outcome of this election. Like, Kamala likely going to win, in my humble opinion. So if she wins, and then there's, like, challenges to whether she even qualifies as a citizen based on this extremely racist decision back in 1857, you know, we're looking down the barrel of some problems here. Yeah, they're doing the birtherism thing. Her birth certificate, her legal documentation is seemingly floating around because, like, we're doing this, like, I guess if you're not white, there's, like, an assumption that you were not born here and you have to provide your documentation. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's all the memes I've got for that. That's all the commentary I think I have on that one. Yeah, wouldn't put it past the Supreme Court to hold this one up. All right, let me take this and put it in my notes. Dred Scott thing in my notes. What is today, guys? The 24th? 25th. Jesus! We're almost done with August, which is just fucking crazy to me. Kamala, not a citizen. Dred Scott. There we go, it's in my notes. Where are you from? Boise. No, but where are you from? Yeah. The classic. It's wild that the right has 3 plays left. Call them a criminal for doing their job at times. Say they weren't born here, or say they love illegal immigrants. Right. It is very weird that they assume being brown means you can't have been born here. Especially when, like, I know that, you know, sometimes the term red is used to describe the skin of Native Americans, but functionally they're kind of like a brown person. Like, brown people were here when white people got here, and then also white people carted a bunch of brown people over here from Africa and stuff. And it's like, yeah, so why would you make the assumption that anyone who's brown here is not from here? Native seed mixes, hell yeah. Ugh. My back. Ugh. I wish I was sleeping better. Maybe my back wouldn't hurt so bad. 71 viewers, 76 likes. I want to casually get to a place where we just always have like 100 people in here. It happens sometimes, but we have to gradually work our way up to, like, I mean, honestly, the best thing would be if we can get to a point where there's like 300 people in here at a given time. Who the fuck knows what I need to do in order to get that to happen? But the more you hit the like button, the more likely it's going to happen. Help skyrocket me to success. Because here's the thing, my income is not going to go up, even though we're going to be living in a place where the cost of living is like twice as high after we move in this winter. So yeah, anything we can do to like boost things. I'm like doing crochet and stuff, like selling my free time, the things that I make in my free time. I'm gonna start posting more pictures on Fansly. But are they really from here? Yeah. Technically, early humans originated from Africa, so no one is a citizen. I mean, if you go on the view that states are fundamentally unethical, then yeah, no one is a citizen of anything. Wawa. Hmm. Also, I saw Anansi when you first came in. I just didn't want to interrupt the segment. But yeah, I'm glad that you got your wisdom teeth out, and I hope that you heal quickly. I really need to get these two out because they're both, like, impacted, and they're messing up my other teeth, but I can't afford that right now. My partner needs dental work, you know. Just need to fold pajamas and the laundry monster will be beaten back temporarily. Nice. High five. Excuse me. Oh my god. Immediately after I drink, I always have like a bunch of burps. Yeah, the next goal is to get to 100 likes. If we could get one donation for today's stream, that would be based, but I do understand that rent is going to be due this week, so I completely get it if people are saving their money for rent. Have you checked with any local dental schools? The one by me has a low-cost clinic as long as you don't mind being worked on by supervised students. I would rather not have, like, major surgery done on my face by a student. Like, it's not just like I need a filling. It's like I need, like, things removed from my face, and like this one is like okay, all of my teeth are in a row, like, right? This one is like this up against my cheek, so it's like really hard to get to. Honestly, I'm just gonna wait. There was a 15 dono, not at the beginning of stream, that was from earlier in the week, because I sold someone a bunch of my crochet stuff, and there was one item that I didn't have listed in my website, and I was like, listen, if you just throw a donation on the website, I'll just add this to your order so that my merch site doesn't double charge you for shipping. So, doesn't count. That was a purchase, basically. Officially, someone has requested feet pics on my Fansly. Yeah, see, that's too. Like, the roots of my teeth might be growing into my jawbone too, so yeah, it might be a much more major surgery. I was completely lucid for mine. Wow, yikes. I need some oral surgery and I called my insurance. It counts under medical and not dental insurance for some reason, so it'll cost me $5K. But why would they not cover it? I thought that medical was supposed to be more coverage. Like, I thought that medical was supposed to be better than dental. I've never had dental, and I mostly have not had medical coverage either. Agree, dental care should be covered in healthcare anyway. Good lord. Yeah, my feel-in teeth are a luxury commodity. My teeth are luxury bones. I really don't even understand the point of insurance if it has a deductible. Like, most people are not getting tens of thousands of dollars of medical care per year. So yeah, if you have like a $5,000 deductible, then it's like, okay, well, what the fuck am I paying you $400 a month for? You're just getting like $8,000 of my money now. But also, like, I'm pretty sure that, is this true? That I think that I was reading about this recently, that like medical stuff cannot go on your credit anymore. Is that, am I remembering that correctly? Because if medical debt can't go on your credit anymore, then I don't think anybody is obligated to pay their medical bills. Like, there's functionally no punishment for you not paying it. You know what I mean? So it's a new proposal, but I don't think it's passed yet. I think right now the rule is like any medical debt under 500 doesn't go on your credit report. Yeah, people do lots of medical tourism. Honestly, it's very, very common for Americans to do medical tourism to Mexico for our dental care. I didn't hear about that. Did you hear about those student journalists in Boston that found out that poorer neighborhoods were paying more money than higher income ones for the same groceries? That's fucked up. Wow. I love my biannual vision tax to be allowed to drive and live. Yeah. I got my first pair of glasses and you know, it wasn't as expensive as it could have been, but I got reading glasses instead of bifocals, which I actually need. I actually need bifocals and to be 100% like all the time glasses person. But yeah, she was like, well, it would be more expensive. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just get fucking reading glasses then. Medical debt is such a dystopian phrase. Like, wow, if you didn't want to be in debt, you should have just died, lol, is unironically the position of millions of Americans. Yeah. Like, it's insane that you had like a thing that you needed in order to live, and then that's like you not paying for it or not paying it back fast enough is going to now impact your ability to get a fucking apartment. Crazy. Without vision insurance, I pay a grand for new. Holy shit, for new glasses. What's up, Uncomfy? Okay, let me see what we're gonna talk about next. I'm not sure if we'll go the full stream today. It sort of depends. Hey, we got a $10 donation to the GoFundMe a little while ago. $10 donation to the GoFundMe. Thank you very much. Heathens, sheathens, and breathens, lend me your thumbs. Thumbs. Okay. Okay. What do we want to cover next? What do we want to talk about next? I kind of want to talk about this, like, vigilante justice bullshit that I'm gonna see here. Okay. I know everybody's sick of me talking about this, but, you know, until it stops being a major problem, I'm gonna keep talking about it, okay? So, a couple of places have passed mask bans. Remember like, 100 years ago when we had required masks? Like, back in 2020, 100 years ago, when we had, like, actual public health policies aimed at helping people, and you were, like, required to wear a mask when you went out. Not anymore. In fact, in like Nassau County in New York, they passed a mask ban. North Carolina was considering a mask ban. Just crazy. Just crazy. So I wanted to talk about a couple of citizen opinion letters that were sent in to newsday.com. This was a link someone posted in the Discord server because I think it kind of illuminates a little bit what some members of the citizenry believe, like how some people feel about mask bans. And I want to discuss this because obviously, like, my perspective is dramatically different. And I think it's important to, like, see other people's perspective. My perspective is I'm gonna fucking lose my mind if anywhere that I live or travel to tries to pass a mask ban. Like, I have the right to freedom of expression, to wear whatever the fuck I want, and I have the right to not get sick. I have the right to protect my health. I have the right to life in this country. So that's my personal opinion. This person thinks Drew Oranger from See How I Sit thinks, to those who are feeling insulted or otherwise put out by the mask ban, it might be worthwhile to focus on the point rather than on yourself. As a response to, I think this is in a response to an article or an opinion piece says it's surreal, mask ban is obscene. The idea is, okay, this person feels so smarmy to me. Like, oh yeah, and yeah, we're in the middle of a huge surge of new COVID variants, like a giant summer surge right now. This person just seems really condescending to me. The idea is to cut down on crime by trying to foreclose anonymity. Maybe that's worth the inconvenience of justifying mask wearing, or maybe it's not. That's the right calculus and is legitimately a matter of opinion. Actually, I don't think it's strictly a matter of opinion, because is there any data actually that crime has increased since, like, specifically that, like, anonymized mask crime has increased since people have started wearing masks for COVID? Is crime up in general? And is restricting people from using masks going to help crack down on that? Like, I think that you would really, like, the burden is on you to justify restricting my freedom to wear whatever I want. This is a very history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, because during the 1918 flu pandemic, there were anti-mask leagues. Yeah, you could try and say you're wearing it for faith-based reasons. True. This person continues, feeling insulted or put out for being asked to carry a note for the sake of the greater good of crime reduction. Oh, because I guess in these instances, it's like you're required to carry a doctor's note. Like, but why do I need a doctor's note? Like, is that not like a violation of my right to privacy? You don't need to know what medical issue I have. You don't need me to pay like $100 for a doctor's visit for them to say, yeah, you should wear a mask. Like, and plenty of us, like, I'm not immune compromised. I do have a health condition that COVID could make worse, or that, like, it predisposes me to possibly have more complications after a COVID infection. But, like, I shouldn't need to get a doctor's note to be able to wear a mask. I should not be accosted by police in order to, like, you know, just because I'm trying to protect my health. Like, I'm trying not to catch a deadly and disabling virus. But this person goes on and says, try to get over it. It's not just always about you. It's about public health, my dude. I hate this person. If I ever need to wear a mask for medical reasons, I will have no problem sticking a note in my wallet or bag. Like, okay, sounds like you have health insurance. How many Americans don't have health insurance? Hold on. Basically, like 8% of Americans don't have health insurance. Well, actually, that data is from March 2022. And since then, the COVID protections, like COVID era protections where they were like, oh, we need to get more people on Medicaid. A lot of people have been dropped from Medicaid since then. So in all likelihood, that number has gotten higher because we don't have like those like Medicaid policies in place that expanded how many people could access it. Well, yeah, with the whole privacy thing, I understand that Roe v. Wade hung on a tenuous Supreme Court ruling about privacy, but like, genuinely, we have a right to medical privacy in this situation where, like, employers cannot demand to know why, like, if you're taking medical leave, employers cannot demand to know. Somebody can't call up your doctor's office and be like, hey, I want to know about those test results that someone else got. Like, you can't impose that. Also true, if you're black or a brown person in general, even if you have a doctor's note that says you can wear a mask, if the police are stopping you and like bothering you, like stop and frisk style, if you reach for that thing in your bag or in your wallet, like that note that says you're allowed to, what's the likelihood that you're going to get shot or tased or something because they're like, oh my God, he's reaching for a weapon. Like, yeah, this is the world we live in. It's grand. So that person was just really, I thought that person was really smarmy, but even more so, I wanted to talk about this next one. From Randy Perlmutter. Why are these both men? Why are men the worst? When they say crime, they mean protest. Yeah, we're trying to crack down on these protests. This person says, as a concerned and patriotic citizen, I think it's my civic duty to help enforce the law. I also think that my fellow citizens should help where they can. Since most of us today have cell phones with cameras, when we see a crime, we should take a picture or a video and send it to the police. So we should start taking pictures of people wearing masks and send them to the police. Again, plenty of these people will go out of their way to get a doctor's note. So like anybody who's wearing a mask is not necessarily committing a crime. This is something that like you could be doing it legally and you just need like to provide your proof of whatever that you're allowed to. But like this person is like saying, I'm going to be a vigilante and start taking pictures of people and sending them to the police. Oh, obviously we shouldn't try to make any arrests. These may be criminals who are armed and dangerous. A little old lady with a walker could be in costume. These people are ruled by fear. It's insane that these people, this is the same kind of person who will be like, well, you can't live in fear forever. You can't wear a mask forever. Like, oh, are you scared of getting sick? And meanwhile, they're like, a little old lady with a walker could be, she could have gats, just like she could like pull up her skirt and like pull a fucking machine gun out of her pussy and like, like, seriously, this is the like bizarro nightmare world that these people live in. And yeah, of course, this is like, you know, you could be wearing a mask to try to protect your mom or your kid who's going through chemo or whatever. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be that you are sick or that you are trying not to get sick because you're immunocompromised. Like, you could have someone in your family. But so, yeah, like, I have to go see my kid's doctor and have my kid's doctor write me a note that says I'm allowed to wear a mask, legally speaking. Yeah, me in my wheelchair. I'm definitely a criminal. Right, like, look, whoa. They could be hiding behind every corner. Like, this is the same. We were talking about this, you know, the Project 2025 leaked training videos, and they're basically like, the Democrats are a monster in the attic. We need to defend against them trying to take over culture and everything. Yeah, and this too, one of the best perks of wearing a mask outside, outside of not getting sick, it's helped my allergies a ton. Yeah, I wear a mask outside a lot of the time just because, yeah, like there's allergies, there's pollution. If you live in New York, which Nassau County is in New York, it's one of the places that passed a mask ban recently, there's probably a ton of pollution. Even if you're not in New York City, if you're anywhere near New York, there's like smog, there's pollution. Anywhere you go in the entire United States, there's pollution from cars because cars are ubiquitous, they're everywhere. There are other, like, yes, still medical, but not having to do with like cancer, immunocompromised reasons to wear masks. Can't stand the people that laugh and scoff at the people wearing a mask alone in the car. Yeah, you're really not supposed to like don and doff your mask constantly. So if you're going to one store and then you're going to go to another store, you should not touch your mask. You should leave it on. So yeah, like, or they could be a driver for someone with a health risk. Yeah. Yeah, absolute rats, these people. Like, I've decided that I'm gonna appoint myself fucking Batman, and like, ooh, like, I see you doing something bad. Oh, I need to call the police. Like, why don't you shut the fuck up? It's Shut the Fuck Up Friday. If you see someone doing something that you think is wrong or illegal, unless they're hurting someone, shut the fuck up. If you see someone stealing food, shut the fuck up. If you see someone stealing baby formula, what is it? What is it, chat? Is it shut the fuck up? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm Batman. Yeah. Batman wears a mask, therefore he is probably a criminal. I mean, kind of literally he is. But like vigilante justice or whatever. Like, well, we all have a camera in our pockets. Like, I almost wish that I wasn't a glasses wearer so that I could use them to indicate like the nerdiness of this. Like, well, we all have cameras in our pockets, so you know, really, we should be taking pictures of people wearing masks. They could be doing something dangerous. They could be hiding an AK in their pussies. Like, listen. Oh man. This just makes me hate people. Oh yeah, and like, oh yeah, as if you're a pure law-abiding citizen. How about if I get a speed scanner and I find you going 35 in a fucking 30? Why don't I take a picture of you and call the police? Shut the hell up. Mind your business. It's free. My goodness. Narcs. Absolute narcs. Like, well, this first guy's like, well, why don't you just get over it? It's not about you. Like, it's about public health. And also, like, yeah, why don't you give me the statistics that say that wearing masks, like medical masks, has anything to do with the rate of crime? I know it's a meme at this point, but TBH, telling folks to tell on each other is 1984 vibes. Yeah. Earnestly. I read that book and it sucked. It's such a depressing book, but we're seeing this, yeah, like with the Project 2025 and them being like, literally, if we get another conservative in the presidency, then we're going to start rewriting a bunch of things out of the law. We're going to remove every reference to climate change. We're going to remove every reference to gender. We're going to remove every reference to, like, you know, okay, so you're saying that you're going to create a ministry of truth, okay? And then this, like, yeah, we're going to start tattling on people who are not harming anybody and are just wearing a mask. Classic 1984 vibes. I think in 1984 there was one situation where, like, some guy was talking in his sleep and he said something in his sleep and his wife or his kids, it was his kids who reported him, and then they disappeared him. They erased him. Yeah, I mean, if someone gets on my case for wearing a mask, then, like, yeah, there is incentive to do a crime anyway. It was like, okay, so you're gonna try to get on my case about, like, allegedly doing a crime. Like, if I'm already in trouble for committing a crime wearing a mask, then, like, what, you know, why shouldn't I? It's like the whole thing about how if abortion is made illegal and, like, it's equivalent to murder, then what reason is there for a rape victim not to murder her assailant? Like, well, I'm gonna go in jail anyway for aborting this baby, so I might as well. True. If you have nothing to hide, whatever. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. However, we stand with a felon. I would bet so much money that both of these people, Drew and Randy, are Republicans. Teacher, I saw someone running in the hallway. Anyway, I just wanted to bitch about that for a while. Sorry, I did pull out a lot of, like, yelling and annoying voice for this one. But, you know, sometimes you gotta get out of your system. But I'll put it in my notes now and shut the hell up. All right, now that's in the notes. You're good at fit the theme. Yeah, but we did lose viewers during that section, so, you know. These are the things that I'm paying attention to whenever I'm streaming. I'm like, oh, we've taken too long of a break in between segments. People are leaving. That kind of stuff. Hmm. Luxander, are you hydrating? I am. I'm not drinking as much water because I started taking salt pills, and that helps me retain my fluids a little bit better. So I don't need to drink as much water. I mean, I still need to drink a lot of water, but like I'm not getting thirsty as quickly. Mmm. We love cold tea. It's fine. It's not terrible. As a reminder, everybody, this is going to be our last Sunday show for like 8 weeks or something like that. Like sometime in October, I'll start doing Sunday shows again. So I think my plan for now is to I'm going to slim it down and just do Wednesdays. So we're going to stream once a week, and it's going to be like a packed news day because that's like, that's going to be all the videos for the week. I'm going to have to record them on Wednesdays. But, and like maybe occasionally I'll do fun something or other in the middle of the week, but I'm going to be really fucking tired from like going hard every weekend. So I'm basically not planning to add an additional stream during that time. I know. It's sad for the Euros. There's only so much I can do. I'm gonna be pulling 20 hours each weekend of like being in the heat and walking around all day. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna be very tired. And then I still have all my other shit that I have to do during the week. Last year I did and this is the last year that this is gonna happen. If that's any consolation, next year I will not have this event. You getting paid to be in the heat at least. I'm getting paid, yes. Not a ton, but yes, I'm getting paid. No worries, Mersh. And yeah, if I were to do an extra stream, it would be during the day, like maybe a couple hours in the middle of the day on like a Friday or something. And those might be like a short, more hangout stream for the Euros. But maybe. That's a maybe. I'm not gonna commit to anything. Ooh, I will drink more water now. Water. Yeah, I love hanging out with you guys. Members of the Horde, the Hordies. No strings attached streaming, yeah. I'm not making any commitments. I'm a commitment free. That's not true. I'm still committing to doing once a week streams. I'm so jealous of people who get like a large number of viewers because they can stream like once a week and still fucking pay their bills. It's frustrating. Like I've been doing the YouTube channel thing for like 8 years, 9 maybe, and I've been streaming for 2.5 years, and it's like it's just not picking up as much as it is with other people. But I'm just gonna be diligent. Diligent. And I'm gonna enjoy myself thoroughly at the Renaissance Festival, so, you know. I like the Hail Hydrate, yeah. I stole that from a convention that I went to one time. Shameless theft. I also have stuff to do this evening. Gonna go out and spend some time with a friend this evening. It's gonna be good. And spend time with my partner. I've been spending a lot of time with my partner lately, which has been really awesome. Which is great, because, like, obviously, it's good to have a person. You know? It's good to have a person. I haven't been to a Ren Fair in 16 years. Jesus, that's too long. There are several, I think, in Oregon, but they're typically the ones that are only, like, 1 or 2 weekends. So, you have to be judicious. And, like, you know, really pay attention to when they are. I miss conventions, but I already struggled with them before 2020. Yeah. I don't miss conventions as much, but that's partially because, like, I kind of have a lot of negative memories associated with them. Ooh, nice. Clifford, the Alpha and Omega Dog newsletter says, not to brag, but I have 44 subscribers. 6 more and I can finally use my phone for streaming, which will fix my audio situation, since I can't seem to figure it out on my computer. High five. Nice. I forgot what you talked about on the line. What did Kitty Tick say on the line this week? She was talking about... I can't remember. I think an Ohio Ren Fair started this weekend. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap at this time of the year. There's, like, Colorado and, like, Bristol, and, like, then Texas is gonna start soon. Like, yeah. We had a great one back in Arizona. I met Jacques the Whipper way back then. I like Jacques the Whipper. He's funny. He never comes to the Renaissance Festival that I go to, I don't think. But also, wait, you saw Jacques the Whipper 16 years ago? Wow. Wow. I found him from, like, YouTube shorts or something. He was young. Yeah, I bet he was. I think he says, like, he grew up in the circus or something. Or, like, ran away to join the circus kind of thing. Okay, well, we might have basically, like, 2 stories left today. Because we didn't talk about this yet. The U.S. judge strikes down Biden administration ban on worker non-compete agreements. I was a young 18-year-old. Yeah, it's crazy how it feels forever ago. I'm 30, and being 18 is just like, oh my god. How? 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 The passage of time. How? Ugh. What a D&D character-ass backstory. Yeah. I think I might quit my D&D game. Again, revealing how old I am. So originally we started this game and it was like, okay, we're gonna do every other Tuesday and it's gonna start at 7. So if we started at 7, sometimes they would chat for a while at the beginning of the show, and then like the actual game would start at 7:30. But now it's been pushed back twice. So now we don't start the call until 8 p.m. and then we don't actually start playing until 8:30. And I think I'm about to be like, hey guys, I love you very much, but you all are in your 20s and I'm old and I can't fucking start a D&D game at 8:30 on a Tuesday. Like, sometimes I'm like passing out at 10 p.m. If the game started at 7 or 7:30 and then went later into the night, that would be more understandable. But I can't like start a game at 8:30. That's crazy. I've never been in a D&D game where people don't chat for the first half hour. Yeah, and again, it would be fine if it wasn't, like, making the game start so late at night. I'm old. Late 30s feels especially weird. Yeah. I'll get there someday. I just felt like someone walked over my grave. Like, I just said, like, oh, I'll get there someday in my late 30s. And it just felt like I need to knock on wood and not jinx myself. I used to have that problem with my old D&D group before they kicked me out for being trans. Bunch of yappers. Yeah, and then sometimes there will also be a pause in the middle where, like, people's cats are distracting them, and then they pick them up and they're like, oh, look at my cat, and then we have a 15-minute cat conversation, and I'm like, guys, like, we're not making very much progress in this game right now. Congratulations on tackling the monster of the laundry. Success. Okay, so we do have, like, 2 more stories that I'm planning on covering. I think I am going to take a quick break, rest my voice for a minute, and then jump back into it. So yeah, if you need to, go get yourself a refill of your drink, get a little snacky snack. We'll come back and resume momentarily. Okay? Don't go anywhere, or I'll cry. Okay, thanks. Bye. Jump scare. Okay, so speaking of the Renaissance Festival happening, so I'm making myself a shirt. Um, I made a bunch of maple leaves, like this, and I'm gonna like layer them on each other a little in a little shirt thing. But I was like, okay, I can't really easily do that on my physical body. So I asked my partner to help me, and we made this incredible bust of my body so that I can use this to finish my shirt. So that was fun. Pretty exciting. Ooh, we're at 97 likes. Nice. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that it was silly. It was fun. I like taped it back together. And now I have a little bust of me. Wow. Anyway, I just thought that was fun. We're having something of a renaissance here in the US. Women and minorities have fewer rights. True. Noise armor basis. Yeah. I do think it does look cool because it's like, it does remind me of a lot of like female armor nowadays, the way that people are styling female armor. It's like you're wearing like a sports bra basically. And like, so the boobs are not like boobing breastily or whatever. Um, and yeah, it's like, there's a smooth little armor situation. I need to make my own bust. I'm planning to get into making my own clothes. Nice. And it's gonna be like a crop top. It's gonna end at like my rib cage or something. So that's fun. I'm having fun. I have like 5 days to finish the shirt, so I really need to bust my ass and finish that. It's the worst part. Anyone who does crochet can tell you that the sewing is the worst part. So if I make something with multiple parts and then they have to be sewn together, God, that's the most annoying part. So that's like, I think I might need to make a few more leaves. I don't think I have any more of that yarn, or at least not enough to make another full maple leaf, but I might have to make a couple like smaller style leaves that aren't maple, or like a couple more maple leaves in a different color, because I do have a few that are like this orangey color that I made. And I want it to be a mix of like that green color with like a couple like this. But yeah, because my character is like a druid. It's like, this is the final year that I'm doing Ren Fair every weekend, and I finally have coalesced my character. I finally figured out what it is a druid. It will forever make me giggle to watch fully armored Soul Calibur characters that still have titty jiggle. Their plate armor is just like blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. But yes, for any of you who are concerned, we will still be doing the Transatlantic Call-In show. Probably most weeks. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like in September yet. But even though we're only going to be streaming my show on Wednesdays, I'll still be on Transatlantic on Thursday, probably most of the time. And that starts at 2 p.m. So if you're over across the pond, you should still be able to catch that show. Con crunch is real. Yeah, I'm giving myself a little bit of con crunch. Trying to get... I'm not like a cosplayer for the most part. But yeah, I have my little Ren Fair outfit that I need to put together. And also, I started making favors last year. I started making a bunch of teeny tiny mushrooms. And I probably should do that. Luxander got name dropped by Naomi on transpositions. Really? Nominal Naomi or a different Naomi? And I'm not familiar with transpositions, I don't think. I was going to do an episode of Transatlantic Call-In Show with Naomi, but it didn't end up working out that week, and she was on with Josie instead. What is transpositions? I'm glad that I'm getting name dropped, though. That's cool. I feel like I want to YouTube search that. Is that what it is? It's a YouTube channel? Transpositions? Well, not something I could easily find. Ugh. The news. News. Okay, but what is transpositions? Is it just a show? Ember, Stephanie Helms, Bumble, Bree? I don't know any of these people. If they're name dropping me, why aren't they contacting me to do a guest spot? I am supposed to be on the composting podcast. I need to respond to Rosa, but we were talking about putting me on the composting podcast on like 9/11. Kind of depending on how things go. I don't actually know if I'm going to go ahead and cover this U.S. judge strikes down Biden administration ban on worker non-competes. I'm not sure if I want to cover that one today. Maybe we'll just cover this Texas driver's license thing and then dick around until I'm ready to get off of here. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll do this Texas story, and then we'll probably just hang out for the rest of it. Or maybe we'll try to get like a nice positive posting moment at the end. Or you know what? Maybe I'll reference this FTC thing during the Texas segment just as like an example of how things are going with like the courts overriding the executive, but in other cases the executive like ignoring the courts. Yeah, I try to do my own. I try not to do like react to other people's content covering the stuff. I'm trying to like have my own full unique segment where I try to like find an article and read the article and just the facts, and then I spin it up. That's why I don't cover, you know, sometimes y'all post links to like the Minority Report. I'm not gonna like watch the Minority Report on here. God. What's up, Julie? We still have people coming into the show at this time of night. Wow. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already. It's good for you. It's healthy to hit the like button. It likes it, okay? It enjoys it. Oh, Majority Report. Yeah, minority, majority, whatever. Who cares? I don't watch either one of. I've never seen the Minority Report, or no, maybe I've seen it once. But yeah, the Majority Report. Whatever. Why? It's not my fault they named themselves something that's almost exactly identical, except inverse to a Tom Cruise movie. Hey, I didn't see this earlier. We got a $30 donation on the GoFundMe, which I will add to the stream goal total. Wow. $40. Maybe I shouldn't count GoFundMe donations because my income is actually lower right now because people are donating to the GoFundMe, and I'm like, that's money I'm not allowed to spend. Life is hard, okay? Life is hard. Hey, we hit 101 likes. Good job. High five, everybody. If I'm the 101st like, do I get 101 free Dalmatians? If I had 101 Dalmatians, I don't think I would give them away for free, TBH. Gotta bulk up that click finger by hitting the like. Yes. You gotta get it. Gotta bulk it up. I think I'm gonna go ahead and cancel my gym membership this week, too, and just start working out from home. Save a little bit of money. I think they also just increased the cost of my membership. Like, I feel like it was like $10 a month, and then recently they charged me 17, and I'm like, well, if that's gonna be the case, then let me just save like $80 by canceling it now. I know, it's very uncomradely of me to not share dogs. No free dogs. There's an adoption fee. It's weird for Kansas, where I'm from, to be like more conservative than Texas, but it's fine. It's fine because Texas caught up. They've officially caught up, okay? Back when, way back when, last year, you might have seen a video on my channel about, I think it was last year anyway, or earlier this year, time is a flat circle. I talked about how there was a bathroom bill here in Kansas. So like in one fell swoop, they decided that we cannot use public restrooms according to our gender that we identify with. You have to use legally the bathroom of which you were assigned at birth, which for me basically means like, I don't know how people are going to perceive me on a day-to-day basis. Like, so I'm just not going to use public restrooms to not even come close to the risk of getting arrested. So basically I can't use public restrooms. In the same thing, in the same law, they were like, and for the purposes of recording public health information, you must be designated on your driver's license and your birth certificate as the sex you were assigned at birth. Previously, like years and years ago when I changed my legal gender, you could change it on your driver's license, but not your birth certificate. And then temporarily, like not temporarily, like they changed a law that made it so where you could update your birth certificate, which I didn't do. And now they're like, nope, you don't have a legal right for your documentation to accurately reflect what you actually look like and the life that you're actually living now. And then Texas has now caught up with this, except like, I don't even think that this was a law that passed. As far as I can tell, this is an executive policy. So it's really interesting looking at all these different things happening across the country where in some cases, and like I think this is the way that Texas tends to do these things, is they just make executive declarations. Like they just decided to say that getting your kid gender affirming care is child abuse and therefore we will start an investigation. And that was a problem for a bit. And so like they actually did that after a law failed to pass through the legislative system. You know, House, Senate, the people who we actually elected, who are supposed to be able to write the laws and make these decisions, they did not successfully pass the law making it illegal for youths to access hormone care. So they just decided to do it executively. Yeah, this is Attorney General Ken Paxton, who once famously hid in a garage from a process server serving him court papers. Excellent. So yeah, this is in Kansas, it was a law that has now been, challenged in the courts. And as far as I know, we haven't heard anything new about that in a while. But this in Texas here is just an executive policy. And it's an executive policy to ignore court orders. So let's read this article I have here. Trans Texans will not be able to change the sex listed on their driver's license, according to a new policy change. Yeah, they will not be able to change the sex on their license unless it is to fix a clerical error, like if it was misrecorded when you were born or something, which was confirmed by Sherry Gibson, the chief of the driver's license division at the Texas Department of Public Safety. Of course, this change comes as conservatives are getting more conservative. Trans Texans could previously change the sex listed on their driver's license by bringing an original certified court order or an amended birth certificate verifying the change. As of Wednesday, that information is no longer available on their website. A spokesperson for the Department of Public Safety sent a statement late Wednesday explaining the change by pointing to Attorney General Ken Paxton. The agency said in an unsigned statement, quote, "The Office of the Attorney General has recently raised concerns regarding the validity of court orders being issued which purport to order state agencies, including DPS, to change the sex of individuals in government records, including driver's licenses and birth certificates. Neither DPS nor other government agencies are parties to the proceedings that result in the issuance of these court orders, and the lack of legislative authority and evidentiary standards for the courts to issue these orders has resulted in the need for a comprehensive legal review by DPS and the Attorney General's office. Therefore, we are no longer accepting these court orders as a basis to change sex identification in department records, including driver's licenses." It's really interesting. So they're saying there is no good law. Basically, they're claiming that there's no good law here. It's just been handled by the courts, which I think was also the case with, in Oregon, the first states that were passing or that were submitting X on your driver's license. It was just a thing that was being done by the local DMV. And then there were challenges, and then it became a more explicit law. Yeah, how do you determine if it's a clerical error? And so obviously this is something that impacts people. If your identity documentation, first of all, I am not really in favor of having a gender on it anyway. You should have a picture and you either look like your picture or you don't, right? What purpose, what utility is there to having a sex designation on your license, or even your birth certificate? I don't really know what utility that serves. I guess it helps you count the population, but I don't know, why would you need that? But more immediately, it's an issue of, okay, well, you're outed as trans. Lots of trans people don't look trans. We succeed in passing in society and nobody knows that we're trans. It's not all of us, but plenty of us do. And so if you try to get a job and your gender marker on your ID doesn't match your appearance, oh, boom, they know you're trans. And maybe they won't give you a job. And the same thing with housing. You can't necessarily prove that they didn't give you the housing or didn't hire you because of you being trans. It's really hard to prove those things. They'll just be like, well, we had a better candidate or whatever, So the problem is that, this has an immediate impact on whether people are housed and employed, which is that's the immediate problem. But additionally, in this particular instance, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, I was looking at that email. So in this leaked email that Mama provided in the chat, so effective immediately, the department will not accept court orders or amended birth certificates that change the sex when it was different from what was already on file. The validity of such documents is currently under review. For current driver's license and ID holders, the sex established at the time of original application and listed in the driver record will not be changed unless there was a clerical error. The sex will reflect the sex listed on the primary document presented upon original application that is already on file. This does not mean we will deny the issuance of or renewal of the driver's license. So basically, it's the same as in Kansas, where my current ID says what I want it to say, but if I were to stay living here and get it renewed in a couple of years, they will revert it forcibly back to what it was when I was born. So, okay. The issuance can proceed with documentation on file. This decision will be left up to the customer. If a first-time application presents conflicting documents, such as a birth certificate with a court order requiring a sex change, the sex listed on the original birth certificate will take precedence. We will continue to make corrections when a clerical error has been made. All court order sex change documentation that cannot be processed should be scanned into the record. All court order sex change documentation that cannot be processed, because they're not processing any of it now, should be scanned into the record, and the customer's name and driver's license ID number be emailed to dlcourtorders@dps. Please notate on the email subject line, sex change court order. Changes resulting from clerical errors do not need to be reported. Okay, so... Okay, this email address is for internal reporting only and should not be shared with customers. Customers should continue to report issues using the customer service portal. So the problem here is, like, they are collecting information about people who have attempted to get this gender change done. And my understanding is that they have also collected information already. So, like, anybody who has already submitted this request to change gender, like Mama who is here in the chat and lives in Texas, went through this process 2 years ago. So it seems as though Ken Paxton, and the same thing happened in Kansas, by the way. Like, my name is on a list on Chris Kobach's desk that it says, like, this person is a tranny. They changed their gender. So it's the same thing. The same thing here in Texas, where they're making a list and checking it twice. And it's like, why do you need a list of all of the people who have changed their gender? It's, we're getting very Godwin's Law here, but it's like, it's pretty scary to know that your name is on some list. And, like, this is part of why I am moving to a state that just lets you declare your gender when you get your driver's license and doesn't require you to do all this court shit. Like, yeah, it's giving Red Scare, for sure. So, yeah, Texas following Kansas in and it's the weird thing to me about this too is, like, the executive, there is no, like, they're not trying to pass a law. They're just saying on an executive level, like, oh, the Department of Public Safety, which is like an executive agency, has decided, like, we are just going to not honor these court orders, which have been, this process has been working this way for a while. We're just not going to deal with it. That was the same way that it worked in Kansas too, was like, you would get a court order. Well, if not for your driver's license, you could just change your driver's license if you got a letter that said you had medically transitioned. But in order to change it on your birth certificate, yeah, it's a court order. And, like, I just wanted to highlight this because while this is happening at this level, where the executive is, like, ignoring both the legislative and the judicial process, meanwhile, we have, like, on the federal level, these judges overriding the executive, like the, canceling of the Chevron doctrine, the Air Force claiming that the EPA does not have the power to compel them to clean up forever chemical spills that they've, tainted Arizona's water supply with. And then I didn't want to do a full segment on this, but A judge has also struck down the Biden admin's ban on worker non-compete agreements. So, like, the Federal Trade Commission is supposed to be able to regulate business, and the courts are just stepping in and saying, you are not allowed to do that. Like, excuse you, stay in your lane. So it's just really weird. Like this, it feels like there is such a tension in like a competition of power. Like, who is allowed to make these decisions? Well, on the federal level, basically, like, I mean, you know, in a situation where the federal government is currently being ruled by a Democrat, the courts are like gutting executive powers. But in conservative Texas, the executive, which is conservative, is just basically like overriding the more purple parts of the government, like the legislative body. And I don't know if the judges are, I don't know, whatever. The judges are probably leaning conservative, really, but just trying to say, like, no, you don't. Yeah, the courts are not letting anybody else do their jobs on the federal level. But yeah, and like a runaway abuse of executive power at the state level, in Texas at least. In plenty of these red states, these laws are passing through the legislative process. A competition of power, not really. Republicans abuse power, Democrats do less than nothing. There's no competition. Yeah, I guess, you know, what I mean is to say that, like, the whole premise, at least the premise that we're taught in our high school government class, is that we're supposed to have a balance of powers where, you know, the judges determine whether something is constitutional, and the legislative body writes laws, and the executive has certain privileges of like passing or denying the laws. Like, you know, like it's supposed to be fairly balanced, but it's like a power grab moment here where on the federal level, again, the judges are overstepping their bounds, in my view, and they need to be checked by the other branches. And how do we do that? Well, you know, we've discussed doing like expanding the court or creating harsher term limits. I say harsher term limits, like in some cases we don't have any term limits for judges. So yeah, like term limits. And I also think that in Texas, the executive is overreaching and is, you know, basically overstepping its power, and that the courts and the legislature need to step in and be like, no, you can't just like unilaterally decide this. Actually, we need that checks and balances thing to start actually checking things and bringing back some balance, because right now it just seems like disproportionately weighted toward the conservatives, no matter what the situation is. Like when it's, again, executive power, Ken Paxton, he's overreaching in support of conservatism. And then with these judges, they're overreaching in support of conservative ideals as well. Even though judges are really supposed to be, like, they're supposed to be non-partial. Like, they're supposed to be non-partisan. Impartial, excuse me. And yeah, Florida and Tennessee have also made these decisions, like banning gender changes entirely from Aaron Reed. Look, Florida, Tennessee, and Kansas have all done this. And they're trying to hide the fact that they're making a list of everybody who's done these changes. And that's like the scary thing on top of everything else. Like, yeah, it sucks to lose your right to accurate documentation. But more than that, it is scary to know that they are putting people's names on a list. They're creating a database of trans people and intersex people. And they tried to hide that. They said, this is a leaked email. This email that we were looking at, it is not intended for the public to know this. Tennessee never allowed birth certificate changes. Well, but they did allow driver's license changes, and they've just completely wiped all of that away. To be fair, those versions of how we teach the government in schools is as dumbed down as how we teach blood types, chromosomes, sex, and gender. Schoolhouse rocks. Yeah, I mean, yes. But in principle, even though it is more complicated, even though there are more layers, on a fundamental level, the whole goddamn point of having 3 branches of government is to try to create a situation where, like, okay, if they pass a law, we need someone to interpret whether that law is in line with the Constitution. And if the president, you know, overreaches his executive powers, or, like, you know, if he tries to declare war, like, the other branches of government have to also greenlight that decision, right? Because doesn't the Senate have to agree when the president declares war? Yeah, like, why would they hide the fact that they're making a list of these people? Like, yeah, that exactly. That's the unsettling bit. If it wasn't for a scary reason, why would they obscure that? Why would they hide it? So if you live in a red state, holy cow, get out of there. I have a GoFundMe so that I can get out of Kansas because my name is on a list. Like, there is a database of trannies in Kansas, and your boy's name is on that list. So if you can, and, like, there are people in chat who have, you know, if you see anybody having a GoFundMe, whether it's me or someone else, like, I know Mama Mephistopheles in the chat also has one. Like, if you can pitch in $5, please do, because every little tiny bit helps when you're trying to get out of somewhere where, like, the fascists are collecting a list of undesirables. Problem. I think a lot of Republicans are misled and they believe the soft narrative while hiding the true fascist beliefs. So hiding it makes a lot of sense from a tactical standpoint. Yeah, I mean, because I think that, you know, I believe that like, certain individuals in the government are much more overtly fascist in what their intentions are, but in order to keep getting voted in, they do need to hide that information from their own voters, their Republican voters. Because many Republican voters are sick of this shit too. Keep that in mind. We've looked at this before. I think it was we were looking at data from South Carolina, some polling data showing that, like, the majority of Republican voters believe that healthcare decisions around trans children should be made between the parents and the doctors. Like, they don't, like, a lot of Republican voters do not believe in this government overreach into trans people's lives. Most of them think that they would rather be focused on the economy, or, you know, just generally we should let doctors make informed decisions for their patients. Yeah, it's sad to be relieved that you didn't ever try to change your gender marker, Fennec. Yeah, it's sad that the dislike of paperwork ended up keeping me off some creepy fascist list. Yeah. It's uncool. Making a list, checking it twice. And, who the hell knows what they're gonna do with that information? Who knows what they're planning? I'm not gonna jump to saying, like, yeah, they're gonna put us all in camps, or they're gonna criminalize this or something. Like, I don't know. You can't say definitively, but you can say, like, I don't think you have a good reason for doing this. Like, why do you need to make a list of everybody who has ever made this change? I'm having a hard time imagining a non-nefarious reason for this behavior. So, yep. I'm gonna leave. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hi, Milena. Welcome in. I didn't want to interrupt my flow for the segment there, but I think that we might be kind of done, more or less, with the segment. The behavior of the Republicans motivated me to get a passport because that's also a lot of paperwork. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're like, I think I need to be prepared to leave. I need a go bag. I need my passport. I still haven't gotten my passport. I will probably soon, but I'm basically like, my personal opinion is that you're better off in a blue state than you are trying to go to another country. I just feel like, progressive places in the United States are probably safer. And I'm hoping that I'm not wrong about that. Mama says someone who was going to put us in camps would do this. I'm not gonna obscure this. I feel just fine assuming genocidal intent, right? I don't feel confident saying that it's not genocidal intent. Yeah, and even if there were no malicious intent, the list would still exist for someone to abuse down the road. What are you going to do with this list? I live in Florida and would like to at least get hormone blockers at minimum or HRT. Would that put me on a list? I can't get the wording right on Google right now. I think, obviously your healthcare providers and any pharmacy you get that information, or sorry, any pharmacy you get that medicine from would be like, they would have that data, but that's supposed to be your private medical data, which is different than like data from the government being collated for the purpose of public databases of this stuff. Because, like, presumably the database also, you could be like, yeah, so approximately 51% of citizens are female because of the sex designation on their driver's license or the birth certificate or whatever. So this is, I think that your information would not be available to the government unless you were changing your government documentation. But, I mean, it's Florida, so really my advice is to get out of Florida immediately. And yeah, this is all with Project 2025 looming in the background because these, radical conservatives consider the mere existence of trans people to be pornographic and inappropriate for children. Could easily see this being used for legalized government persecution if MAGA wins the election. Fair, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, are we as trans people, just because we exist, going to be criminalized because our existence is like obscene and like it's the equivalent of physically harming children, basically? Feels like I was snatched up and dropped into a worse timeline. It does feel like the worst timeline. We can hope that if Harris and Walz win, which I'm assuming that they will, then maybe there will be more federal protections. Like, I know my coworker Josie, who you may have seen me with on the Transatlantic Call-In Show on Thursdays, she is hopeful that we will be able to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, which would put legislative protections for trans and queer people. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know what else I can add on this. Like, it's terrifying and it's not cool. It's not appropriate in my opinion. And who knows? Who know? May you live in interesting times. True. All right, I'm gonna put this in my notes now. Oh, where are my notes? Where are you? Okay, here we go. Texas driver's license list. There we go. Okay. We succeeded. There are now 6.5 million people in the Mormon Church living in the U.S. that have been told by their church to view us as predators. That's true. That's like their official stance. My lips are so chapped. It's so weird. It's annoying. I think it's just because of, like, the chronic dehydration from pots. I messaged Ember of the Transpositions channel with the stream about reaching out to you. Cool. That's exciting. Be trans, do crime. True. Well, what else do we have today? Do we have anything else fun that we could talk about today? Something that's not as depressing, maybe? Or we can just chat about whatever. You can't be too judgmental or it's religious intolerance, but any religion radically in favor of defending us is satanic and evil. Yeah, true. Baby has decided to enjoy tummy time for the first time. They have hated it until today. Yes! Soon, it will be mobile. I got to hold a brand new baby this week. One of my family members has a brand new baby, and I got to hold it. It was very cute. It's like 2 weeks old, like a very, very new baby. Excuse me. 106 likes. $40 in donations. I don't know if we're gonna get to the flex today, but that's all right. The first baby I ever got to hold is off to college this month, which is wild to me. Yeah. I think the first baby I held, it was one of those, like, my baby brother had just been born, and I was, like, barely more than a toddler, but they put me in a chair and then they put him on my lap kind of thing. Starbucks is falling in stock. Ooh. Babies are amazing. So many wonderful firsts. I like their little feet, you know? Their little footsies. Ma'am, who said you could grow up? You're not allowed. Not allowed. It's so interesting to me, being that, like, I've been with my partner for, like, 15 years. So, like, I have known someone in someone else's family for their entire life. It's fine. It's like, whatever. It's your own brother. It's your own family. It's whatever. But it is a little bit weird. I mean, like, weird in a positive way to have, like, your in-laws be like, yeah. Remember when I babysat you when you were, like, a year old? Chubby legs are my personal weakness. Yeah. They're moving. This baby that I held is a wiggler. I was like, I feel completely stable in supporting this baby, but it was like, the feet were just, like, going. What's up? Better than Ember. It's hard to tell when a boycott is working. When it's a product you rarely ever get. Yeah. If I go to get coffee, which I rarely do, it's just like, oh, it costs money and I make myself iced coffees at home anyway. Um yeah, I don't go to Starbucks. Starbucks stock took an insane dip. Really? It's kind of surprising. Are there any reasons? Are there any like is there any speculative like why is that happening? Biggest problem with the right and even most left-wing adults is they still view children as less than full human. Yeah. Yeah. I was talking about that with my family member who just had the baby. It's like you can't just pick up a toddler without like them knowing what you're doing, you know? Like you have to kind of care and respect that they're a little person and they probably don't want to be randomly picked up from behind and things like that. Okay, so I guess the stock dropped because their sales are down. Like, basically, that's what I'm reading. Store sales fell 4% in the previous quarter, driven by a 6% decline in cafe traffic. Analysts had expected same-store sales growth of 1%. Okay. Regionally, same-store sales decreased 3% in the US and 6% internationally. Okay. Eric says, insane price hikes removed most location seating, insane CEO pay raise, and bad US corporate operations. No one wants to spend more than boutique cafe prices for Starbucks, whose quality has gone from mid to pretty bad. Ugh, yeah, that's fair. Hmm. I never forgave Starbucks for doing away with my gold member card plan. Yeah, well, that's amusing. I feel like there's no way they're gonna, like, no way that the company is gonna actually, like, totally tank. They'll keep being functional for a while. Yeah, exactly. We're in pumpkin spice latte season. The sales should be up right now until they roll out the controversial annual holiday cups. I can go to a local coffee shop where they're super nice and have interesting drinks and just nice vibes. Yeah, like if you're gonna treat yourself and you're gonna pay those exorbitant prices, you might as well support a local business. I want Taco Bell to bring the Cool Ranch Doritos Locos taco back. That does sound really yummy. But I'm hitting the part of the stream where I'm like hungry. I ate beforehand. I always eat beforehand. But, you know, definitely hitting the part of the stream where I'm a little bit hungry. And I'm definitely going to eat afterwards because I have stuff I'm doing this evening that I want to make sure I'm nice and well fed for. They're too big to die. They'll just get more annoying in advertising for the next decade. Mm-hmm. This is an example of end stage capitalism. McDonald's is having the same problem. There are no more places to open a McDonald's. You can't make more money in any way except raising prices. Product is made out of the cheapest stuff you can find already. Yeah, like you can't have constant growth if you're not opening new locations. Like you can't expect to make more and more money every quarter when you reach saturation. Like, okay, we've built all of the McDonald's that we can build. You can do things like, you know, have a special deal. Like, I think, you know, some places have like a McDoubles deal where you can buy like 2 McDoubles and get the third one for free or something like that. Or, you know, come up with a new product and create interest in that new product. But eventually, yeah, the growth is going to stall. If Taco Bell gets rid of the Cantina menu, then I will break up with them for good this time. I'm assuming that's like the cheap, it's like the dollar menu functionally. Apple cider crushed pumpkin spice, and that's from a pumpkin pie hoe. I am really looking forward to it getting more in the fall season because I want to do Vassal again this year. I did it last year. You just like buy apple cider from the store and, you know, add spices to it, and like you can roast apples and then pop them in there. Like I have a bunch of whole star anise and a bunch of whole cloves so that I can like stab them into the oranges and like put them in and like warm it up, and like everything's gonna smell so nice. Like, yes. What happened with gender changes? We already covered it. Texas has canceled all gender marker changes, and they're collecting a list of people who've done it before. I read an article from an economist saying that more and more businesses are going to run into this problem where, the growth is going to stall. And then you're going to have more dips and rises. Inflation is ruining fast food and chain restaurants. However, interestingly, local diners here in Virginia have not raised prices as much, and it's just as cheap to get a plate lunch as it is to get a hamburger where I live. I'm going to diners more when I eat out and have the time. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm being peer pressured to invite you onto a boutique trans news show. Should I email you? I don't have a public email right now. But yeah, I mean, Discord or Twitter for sure. Are you the Ember from Transpositions? Okay. Someone in YouTube chat was like, they've name dropped you on this other show, and I'm like, I don't even know what that show is. But yes, I'm so down into for doing collaborative work. Absolutely. Fast food prices have nearly doubled. Local business have average raised prices 10 to 25%, which matches actual inflation. Yeah. I've literally started shopping at like the cheapest stores I can to I'm trying to save money, you know? I already buy store brand stuff. I don't really go a lot of places because I live close enough to everything, but like I'm not trying to spend a lot of money on gas. I love apple cider donuts. Sadly, it's hard to get to the orchards as I no longer have a car. Ooh, apple cider donuts sound so yummy. I can't wait to go to a pumpkin patch this year. Sometimes you'll have like apple cider or even pumpkin spice flavored donuts at those. Yeah, thanks, Mama. Yeah, companies are price gouging their products when they don't need to, and they're using inflation as the reason. I did see that Walmart is apparently going to be lowering prices on like 2,000 items, probably because of a dip in sales. But it's like, cool. I was already going to Walmart to get a lot of shit because it's cheaper there. I think Taco Bell is one of the few chains that's actually having growth right now. Ooh, okay. Even Subway is adding value meals. They're trying to charge $12. Remember when it was like $5 footlongs? They had the little song, $5 footlongs, and now they're just like, yeah, Lamau, more than $10 for a shitty footlong on white bread. Always fill your gas tank on the slowest setting and just before the sun comes up. The gas is at its most dense and you get the most gas per gallon. Even 1 or 2 degrees makes a huge difference. I mean, they're under the ground though, right? Like they should have a stable ground temperature. The slow setting is because of the vapor return, okay? Jimmy John's is more affordable than Subway now. Listen, I actually kind of really like Jimmy John's. I think it's pretty delicious, actually. I haven't been big into sandwiches lately, but yeah. I'm a Jersey Mike's enjoyer. I don't know if we have Jersey Mike's. There's new Jersey Mike's in my area. They've been showing up more. And I don't necessarily drive around looking at where the new sub stores. So Jimmy John's is only 4 and 8 inch subs though. Yeah, but I like their toppings and stuff. It just seems like less shitty quality. I mean, it's they have avocado, which is definitely part of it. Uh-oh. The hungry part of stream. Oh no. Uh-oh. Whoa. Do you guys think that I should like make some so I'm making this one for me. This is a pumpkin, I'm making it for me. But should I make more of these and put them on the website? Someone requested that I make a voodoo doll and put it on the website, and I'm like, yeah, I guess we are entering that time of the year. I should maybe post fall decor on there. I so rarely eat out, getting down to 90% home cooked everything. Yeah. I don't um I basically do like all from home. Like maybe once or twice a week. You know, if I go get my blood drawn or something, I'll get myself some kind of fast food thing as a treat. But yeah, and even on the nights where I'm streaming, like Wednesday night, I don't cook typically after the show, but we'll just eat whatever we have around, I buy chips and like packets of tuna and frozen taquitos. So, even then, I'm typically not like buying food on those nights. Bread is out of control, $6 to $8 for a loaf. It's still like $3 for the shitty great value bread, I think. Me when a trans person is making a pumpkin. Yep. I have a question and it's not letting me get live. Refresh the page. I need to buy more sinister ghost faces from Spirit Halloween. I'm in my early 50s and have gray hair. I take full advantage of it and get senior coffee from fast food restaurants. That's also kept me away from Starbucks. I can get coffee super cheap now. Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater. But you know what? Take advantage. Free coffee. Delicious. Coffee's not even that expensive anyway if you're just getting like a regular cuppa. Luxander, do you still have the same opinion about non-binary lesbians that you did in the past? What do you mean? Like, the only time I've talked about non-binary lesbians is when I was talking about this in response to people saying that lesbians cannot ever be attracted to men. And my opinion of non-binary lesbians was basically that they're giant fucking hypocrites. Because they're like, well, the definition of not all non-binary lesbians, but the ones who specifically non-binary lesbians who say lesbian is only women who love women. It's like, okay, so you think that you can be non-binary and therefore not a woman, but be a lesbian. But so like the first part of the definition, women who love women, you're flexible on that. But you don't think it's flexible that like women who are attracted to women, that the second woman in that statement could be flexible and like could be open to other genders. So yeah, that's, I don't know. Did I have a different opinion about non-binary lesbians that I'm just like forgetting right now? I was mostly just really irritated with the inconsistency at that time. But I'm also like not really doing dumb shit fucking discourse anymore. If we're being completely honest. I think you can be a non-binary lesbian. I don't care. And I also think that lesbians can sometimes be attracted to men. And sometimes lesbians can be men, because guess what? A lot of trans men are from the lesbian community. And who are we to say that they need to completely give up that identity of like belonging in the lesbian community just because they came out as trans? There's an awkward tension between monosexual gays and trans and non-binary pan/bisexuals. I guess so. But I'm like, this is me being like, there are people who are calling themselves non-binary lesbians who are being pricks about this. So it's like they're non-binary and they identify as lesbians, but and like often they're also in a relationship with another non-binary lesbian, so it's like, what even are you? Yeah, the gold star stuff. It turns out these labels are methods of communicating. Like, I knew someone who is queer, and they were femme, and they were in a primary relationship with a cis man, and because this individual was polyamorous, they identified as a lesbian because they were like, I am not open to being in any more relationships with men. I have one relationship with a man, and I don't want to communicate that I'm open to relationships with men beyond this one relationship that I'm already in. But yeah, I kind of ignore dipshit fucking discourse like this because it's like, okay, you're 14. Like, so this is basically like children's arguments. Children who do not know anything about the history of the movement. And, again, my priorities have just completely shifted. I guess I might talk about dipshit discourse every once in a while in the sense that it will pay my bills. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should start paying attention to dumbass dipshit fucking Twitter again. Because, yeah, those kind of discourses, they get clicks, for sure. But genuinely, like, the thing that I care most about right now is, like, warding off fascism, warning people about COVID and trying to make sure that we don't all die in the upcoming climate collapse. Call of Duty linguistic warfare. I really like the lesbian label, even though I identify as trans masc NB, although the hyper-specific gender label that technically fits me is too navel-gazy. Yeah. And I'm more on the lines of like, I'm going to use vague terminology, or I'm going to make terminology that gestures at a concept but doesn't tie me down to anything specific. Like, technically speaking, you could call me gender fluid, but I personally identify as agender, and I don't usually say that. I'm like, yes, I'm non-binary, and that is all that really matters. And I identify as queer. I am in a relationship with a cishet man, and we are monogamous, and, you know, I just, like, I identify as queer because I am attracted to people of multiple genders, but I'm, like, not trying to, like, you know, if I'm asked, like, on a medical thing, like, sometimes at the doctor's office, it'll ask you your sexual orientation. I'll say bisexual because that is functionally, like, that's what they're asking is, like, are you attracted to people of multiple genders? And so, yeah, I will sign bisexual on those, even if I feel that that is not, like, the term that I really identify with. I don't identify as bi at all. But again, it's for the purposes of communication. Like, what is most useful for communicating? If a person asks me, I'll say I'm queer, and they will probably understand that to mean, like, I am attracted to people of multiple genders, or that, like, I don't have a specific label on that. And, like, yeah, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that. I decided to start crocheting, so that's why I'm not looking at you right now. I'm working on my pumpkin right now. I have 2 more rows of exactly the same thing that I need to do. Baby been up a lot this stream. Wish I could have chatted more specific, especially on this subject. Yeah, no worries. This is the chill. We're talking about whatever part of the stream anyway. We're doing 2 of those now. We did one at the beginning, and now we're doing another one because I already covered my segments for today. I wonder, sometimes I think, like, I wonder if I should go ahead and do, like, crochet streams on Twitch or something. And then, like, put my headphones in and, like, listen to whatever podcast or whatever I'm listening to and just put it on my phone. But I don't really have a good camera angle for this. Just, like, silently crocheting with, like, some kind of lo-fi beats in the background or something. Yeah, people being like, what's your opinion on he, him, cis, het, male, lesbians? Like, I think you're inventing a boogeyman, really. I think you need to find some real problems in your life and go deal with them. Which is, like, uncharitable, because I do think often that the kind of people who get involved in these dipshit-ass discourses are people who do have significant problems, and they just feel so challenged by those issues that they, you know, they kind of can't function regularly. Like, they're overwhelmed with trauma, so they tackle, like, a smaller target that's easier to deal with, I guess. Like, other queer people are more likely to listen to you, and you might be able to exert power over them in a way that you cannot exert any power over your landlord or your boss or the politicians limiting your access to public services or whatever. I've been using Twitch more. Sometimes it'll be super late, and I'm like, who's online right now? Yeah. I know I would need a crochet cam. I'm like, I don't really have a good angle for that. I do have an extra camera right now, but it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just hold it in my mouth while I'm, like, looking at this thing? Like, this is the angle for seeing me crochet, is, like, you have to be able to see what I'm doing like this. And typically, when you watch videos, it's like everything is turned toward you like that. So yeah, I would. What am I gonna like? I just chomp it in my mouth and crochet. I'm hoping that having a like after we move, I'm hoping I'll be able to have a like a more flexible setup because you guys have been screaming about wanting cooking streams and you want crochet streams and like all this nonsense, and I'm like, I don't have the flexibility to do that. Familiarity breeds contempt could explain why a lot of people are strangely more comfortable producing infighting content. Um, I don't know if I agree with the statement familiarity breeds contempt. I just think that it's like, you know, you can hurt someone who cares about hurting people's feelings, right? Like if it's a someone who considers themselves a queer ally, if you tell them, "Oh my god, you've hurt trans people by doing this," they will care. You can bring them to heel. You can exert power over them. Whereas if you try to tell a Republican, "Oh no, you're hurting trans people. We're killing ourselves," they're like, "Haha, good." You know? People do love drama. It's true. Drama gets the clicks. Some of my best performing videos on the channel are either about J.K. Rowling or they're about drama, like Xander Hall or James Somerton or Poppy and Xena. And it's unfortunate, I guess. But it makes sense. Like, that's what people want to click on a video about James Somerton faking his death. That's just how the beast is. And you gotta feed that beast. Feed that beast, girl! For the BoJack reference. Release the body cam crochet footage. Yeah, I just strap a GoPro to my head. I guess that would work. I could make a little headband for my camera. Hypothetically. Yes, I am an arthropod. I have segments. Okay, and I think I only have one last row to do. It's exactly the same thing as I just did. Poppy and Xena still pisses me off to this day. They were cool. Yeah, the fact that they still haven't figured out that they need to shut the fuck up is the part that's annoying to me. They don't grasp the concept of shut the fuck up Friday, you know? But oh well. Honestly, I could get a lot of crochet done if I just did this during the stream. I can't do segments like this, obviously, because I'm like looking down and not reading or whatever. My first thought was James Somerton does drama YouTube now? He is drama YouTube. There is a whole genre of YouTuber that's like reading YouTubers. And they post like time lapses of them reading the book. And then like sometimes they'll pause and go like, "Oh my god, this thing just happened." But yeah, it's literally just time lapses of them reading a book. And then like maybe they do a review at the end of the book. They're not reading out loud. They're just silently reading to themselves. Put your phone under a headband. I have a pretty old phone at this point. If I was going to do content from my phone, I would probably need to get a new one with a better camera. And I'm not going to get a new phone until this one is basically dead. Or like essential things like the GPS stops working or something. It's a film react, but with books. Yeah, they just... I watched a couple of these that were like... Someone was reading Game of Thrones for the first time or whatever. And yeah, it's like... They just get cozy and they read, and every once in a while in the time lapse, it'll become normal speed, and they'll be like, "Oh my god! Ned Stark is going to King's Landing," or whatever. Or like, "Oh my..." You know, whatever, you know. That could be what your second stream is every week while you're doing Ren Fair. See how they do. Just you crocheting for an hour or two. Yeah, just me silently. I don't even have any music prepped for that. And again, I don't have the camera, because I think a lot of the time people do this with, like, a camera over the table. So they have like their camera is like here, and their crochet work is down here, so it's filming like directly above their work. Yeah, aerial camera, have it on some cables and move it around like the overhead camera at sporting events. True. Do you have any advice to talk to people who believe that the keto diet is good? It's a little random, like pseudoscience claims. Um, I mean, I think that probably the best evidence that you can bring to the table on that is that people who try fad diets almost always, even if they lose any weight, they almost always gain it back at some point, because these diets require such extreme changes that are hard to maintain. And like, you know, you can't go out, like you can't buy fast food and expect that it's going to follow your diet. So it's just like, yeah, like, are they sustainable? What are the actual physical results that you get? It's better to balance eating well, like eating whole foods, like nuts and fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains, you know, and like focusing on eating well over, I don't know, a lot of the other shit that these fad diets try to do. They're like, no carbs or whatever. The Heartbound OST has 100 songs on it, and the creator has said multiple times it's allowed for use on streams. I think it cost $5 or $10 on Steam. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out. Put a mic next to the crochet needles and call it ASMR. Dude, I wonder, like, can this pick up what I'm doing? Like, I'm trying not to tap the microphone. It definitely can hear that. I think I would need to get a much more sensitive microphone. This one is like specifically designed to pick up on the human voice. So I would need to get a different microphone, I think. And also, you know, I share like a big office space with my partner right now, and he's very polite while I'm streaming and puts on headphones and stuff. But most of the time, you know, one or both of us is listening to something out loud. So it would probably have to wait until I have my own office anyway, which might not be for a few years, TBH. Your brain runs on glucose. You need carbs. Yeah, you do. You need carbs. It always boils down to portion control while making sure you get all your nutrients. Yeah. And getting movement in, you know, getting activity in of some kind and varying your activity, because your body will get used to the type of activity you're doing. So, like, do heavy cardio for a few weeks or like 6 weeks, and then switch to lifting weights, and then start swimming, and like, you know, like sub things out with the exercise so that your body doesn't get used to it. Because like if you do the same exercise on a regular basis, your body will get used to it, and you won't burn as many calories doing it anymore. So yeah, you gotta like change stuff. Movement. Next, you'll tell us we need like fresh air or sunshine now and then. Ugh, yeah. I'm about to start doing like short walks. I get outside plenty, but you know, it'll be nice to kind of just get some, you know, movement in, because I don't do a lot of cardio. I would actually really like to. This is part of why I want to own like a decent chunk of land, is like then I could basically go hiking on my own land and, you know, be in nature and have it be beautiful and hopefully plenty of trees and no people around. Like, that would be great. Most people recommend doing different workouts during the week. I mean, you know, you can do the same thing for a couple weeks, or even like 6 weeks, but yeah, it will you'll get used to it after a period of time. You'll plateau, as they say. How do you get tomato-free dishes that mimic the tomato component? Because sometimes when I eat like a tomato-heavy dish, I get really gross acid problems. If you want to diet, change your diet. Take one bad thing out each week or two and add something good to your diet. Also understand that your body's preferred weight is probably not your preferred weight. Add a bit of exercise and be consistent, and you'll get to a healthy place, which is much more important than a sexy place. For me, it's not even about the weight. I don't care about the weight. I'm like, why can I not get rid of the body fat right now? Like, I did put on weight deliberately because I was doing bulking for a while last year, and then I'm trying to do a cut, and it's just not going anywhere. It's really frustrating. I'm like, I'm eating whole foods, I'm eating oats, I'm eating fish, I'm eating chicken. Like, I've taken a little break from exercising right now, but I've been exercising regularly, and I'm about to get right back into it. Like, lunges and squats and stuff at home. Why? Is it because I'm 30 and I'm running on estrogen right now? Is that why? I actually over-dieted and got stuck on a plateau. I had to up my intake to keep losing. Bodies are weird. Maybe that's where I'm at right now. I'm not perfect with it either, though. Like, I drink alcohol on the weekends sometimes, and that fucking blows out my calories for the day. Watermelon can be part of a, quote, salsa. Oh, yeah, like a watermelon salsa. Ooh, that does sound really good, actually. It's weird because I'm doing a cut, but I don't think my skin has caught up with the rest of me. I have so much slack I can go from cum gutters to pregnant in a day. Yeah, your like water retention through the day changes too. I don't know if it would help you personally, but I cut with vegan and gain with meat. My body just works that way. Fair. Yeah, I probably could do more like beans and tofu and stuff. That might help. I'm functionally on estrogen right now. So like, yeah, I think that it's harder for people with estrogen to lose fat. Like, it just is. I'm genuinely considering low dose tea again. Eat more raw veggies. They cost your body calories to digest. Okay. Really? oh man, I typically eat roasted veggies, which I guess like that's partially digested already because it breaks down some of those fibers. But that's a good point. I should eat like raw carrots and stuff more. I encourage everyone to try mango salsa. I don't like mango very much. It's sad. It's sad. I don't like mango. I thought people said that about like celery, that it like costs you more calories to digest it than it gives you because it's just fiber and water. I keep trying to eat mango, and every time I'm confused because it seems like the kind of thing that I should enjoy, and then I'm like, oh man, I don't like it. Okay, interesting. I think it's so difficult to learn anything about um diet or exercise because like it's a money making industry, so there's a lot of misinformation out there. I don't think anybody is suggesting that eating raw vegetables is like magic diet pills. It's just more like this whole thing takes like a number of different things that go into it, and like it's not like it's magic for me to eat chicken breast instead of chicken thighs either, but they do have fewer calories. So, it's like a multifaceted approach. Have you tried papaya? I don't think I've ever had papaya. Yeah, mango will forgive me someday. I do like dried kind of overripe mango. That's pretty good. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I guess, yeah, I also put like olive oil on all my roasted vegetables, so I'm adding to the caloric intake that way. Excuse me. Kiwi fur is edible, by the way. Yeah, just crunch into the kiwi and eat the skin. Ugh. Texture. Mango habanero salsa. Man, I don't like either of those things. I don't like mango, and I'm not a huge fan of habanero. Like double bad for me. Double, triple gross. Papaya is really good, but squirt some lime juice on it to neutralize the pungency. I don't even know if papaya is at any of the grocery stores I go to. I might have to keep a lookout for it. Nom nom nom, tasty fur. Yeah. Okay, well, I've gotten you all good and hungry now. I'm assuming I've titillated your appetites, and you're ready to go eat some lunch or dinner or whatever the fuck time it is for you. It's 4 o'clock for me, so I'm gonna have a like late afternoon lunch moment. And yeah, I'll send you off into the world and plan to see you on Wednesday because, yeah, Wednesday is the one day a week that we're going to be streaming for the next couple of months. And then I will see you on Thursdays also for Transatlantic Call-In Show. So, thank you, my horties. The dragon says good night. Be good. Or at least don't get caught, okay? Don't get in trouble. It's the main goal, all right? Bye. Bye, 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 bye.